Well, that's about the size of it, Dr. Watson. I just have to travel north to Cumberland, and I simply can't take young Harry, my grandson. I'll only be gone a few days, but I can't leave the boy alone in the house, and he don't know nobody in London.
So you're wondering if Sherlock Holmes will allow him to come and stay here at 221B Baker Street, hmm?
Well, I know it's an imposition, but, well, Harry's a bright boy. I know he'll behave himself and not get in the way. Of course, if it relied on you, it wouldn't be so bad. For you're a doctor and used to handling children. But Mr. Holmes, well, there's no doubt that he can be difficult. I wondered, perhaps if you'd talk to him. Sound out the ground, as it were.
All right, Mrs. Hudson, I appreciate your problem. I'll do my best to persuade Mr. Holmes.
Oh, thank you, sir. There won't be no trouble, I promise you that. Harry will be as good as gold. You'll see.
We present the stories of Sherlock Holmes.
The Young Visitor.
I knew that to put up a lively young boy in our rooms for any length of time would cause untold trouble. But I didn't see why we shouldn't try to help for a short while. There was a small box room at the top of the house that had a trestle bed in it. It could be made quite comfortable. The only difficulty was Sherlock Holmes and his work. He was the last man in London to want a small boy under his feet while he was engaged upon a case. I broached the subject carefully the next morning. Much to my surprise, Holmes agreed to the arrangement quite amicably. Mrs. Hudson was delighted, and on the Friday afternoon showed him the lad, all dressed in his Sunday best and schooled in the proper behavior.
Come in now, Harry, and say hello to Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson.
How do you do, sir? Very pleased to meet you, Doctor.
So, you're Harry, and you're to be our young visitor for a few days.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for letting me stay here.
Harry's a bright lad. He won't make any trouble. I mean, he isn't rowdy or anything like that. As long as there's plenty of books for him to look at, he'll be as quiet as a mouse.
Well, there are plenty of those, although perhaps you aren't quite grown up enough for most of them. Well, young man, sit yourself down. It's a bit early for tea.
Gran's shown me where everything is, sir. I can get it for you any time.
Well, not yet. Well, come on, sit down and tell us something about yourself.
Oh, there isn't much. I'd sooner hear about you, Mr. Holmes. Do you really catch criminals, murderers, and people like that? And do they fight to the death at the very end?
Well, not very often. Detection isn't all blood and thunder. It's a question of observation and thinking in the right manner. But I'm not working on any case at the moment, so you needn't bother about disturbing me.
Oh, that's a pity. I think I'd like to be a detective when I grow up.
Well, there's plenty of time for that. Now, what would you like to do this weekend? Play games? Visit the zoo?
Not really. You know what I'd really like?
No? What?
To go down Charing Cross Road and look at all the second-hand bookstores. Now, that will really be a treat.
Well, if that's what you want, that's exactly what we shall do. We shall do so tomorrow morning. How's that? It's a promise.
Wow! I think I'm really going to enjoy it here. I really do.
Things had got off to a most pleasant start. It was clear that Holmes liked the boy, who was quick-witted and not over-familiar. True to his promise, Holmes ordered a hansom cab the next day, and the two of them started off for an exploration of the London bookshops. Charing Cross Road was the obvious start. Holmes knew every store intimately, and one in particular, Nesbitt & Son, was a great favorite.
Well, now, Mr. Holmes, found anything to your liking?
Not at the moment, Nesbitt, but I'll browse around if you don't mind.
Make yourself at home, sir. Make yourself at home.
Mr. Holmes, just come and look at what I found.
What is it, Harry?
Look! It's an old book all filled with maps and drawings. Look, sailing ships and pirates. All the voyages marked out. Called E. White Cosgrove. Travels of imagination and exploration.
What's that? Gracious me. Nesbit, what have you got an old Cosgrove out here on the straw pavement for? What's it marked out as? 5 shillings. It should be worth far more than that.
Well, I don't know. It came in with a job lot from a Mr. Robert Johnson of the Manor, Lake Radlett. It's in a poor state. Many pages missing, and the cover is stained and warped. It's a pity. It's rare enough, but I doubt if it could be restored.
Please, may I buy it? I'd love to start a collection with this. I've got half the money. If you put the other half, I promise I'll pay you back.
That's all right. Wrap it up, Nesbit. The young man's found what he wants.
Very good, Mr. Holmes. We must encourage a budding bibliophile, mustn't we?
The rest of that day, young Harry stayed in the box room, poring over travels of imagination and exploration. We heard not a sound from him. It was on the Sunday morning, after a brisk walk in the park, that we returned to find a visitor had called.
Ah, come in, Watson. Young Harry, this is Miss Amelia Johnson. She's called about the book you bought yesterday, Harry. I rather think she wants to buy it from you.
What? I'm sorry. Perhaps you'll let me explain, young man. You see, my uncle is Mr. Robert Johnson, and this book came from his private collection. I think there must have been a slight mistake. The volume should never have been included in the parcel of books sent to Nesbit's in London. Since then, a few pages have been discovered, which, when added to the book, would make it quite valuable. We found out Mr. Holmes' name and address from Nesbit's, and he said he was sure you would agree to sell it back. I'll offer you far more than you paid for it. Now, what do you say?
No.
I'll give you a sovereign here and now for the book. Here? See, a bright new golden sovereign.
Mr. Holmes, I don't have to sell a book, do I? I'll never get another one like it. And if that page is missing, well, maybe I'll be able to buy them for this lady later on.
The book rightfully belongs to you, Harry. It's yours, and you've paid for it quite honestly. Of course, Miss Johnson, the missing pages may deal with the island of Corsium and the legend of the dinosaur. There is a reference to that later on in the book, isn't that so?
Exactly, Mr. Holmes. It's a shame that the tale should remain incomplete. We're anxious to see the volume whole again. I don't think my offer is unreasonable.
Not at all. But it's entirely up to you, Harry. A sovereign back for 5 shillings outlay is a good investment.
I don't want a good investment. I want my book, and she shan't have it, so there. I'm sorry, but the answer is no.
Well, that's your answer, I'm afraid. The child is entitled to keep what is rightfully his.
He's a junior. Surely he has parents I can appeal to, people who will listen to reason.
I'm afraid not. None that you can approach at the moment. He's staying with me in the box room in the roof until his grandmother returns next week. But Harry is a strong-willed boy. I doubt if anyone will make him change his mind.
Not even if I made the offer 5 guineas?
I very much doubt it. I'm sorry, Miss Johnson. I'm afraid your visit from Radlett has been a waste of time. Please, may I show you out? Now, look here, Harry. We appear to have stirred up quite a hornet's nest with this purchase of yours.
I'm sorry. I don't want to sell it.
No, and I don't think you should. Remember, I told you that detection was observation and clear logical thinking? Well, this is a case in point. I believe that book is far more valuable than anyone knows. Now, why did Miss Johnson go to such lengths to regain it? She knows nothing of its contents. I deliberately misled her by quoting the island of Corsium and the dinosaur. A total fabrication. Now, she's offering 5 guineas for a book Nesbit thinks only worth 5 shillings. Now, she's not going to stop there. If she can't buy it, she will be arranging to steal it.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, indeed I do. I've let her know that you occupy the box room at the top of the house with a small window jutting out onto the roof. I shall be very much surprised if you don't have a visitor call upon you this very night.
A real-life burglar. What do we do? Bolt the window? Call the police?
There's no need to call the police when I'm here. And no need to bolt the window either. In fact, you will leave it open. Now listen, Harry. Here is a real adventure for you. Now this is what we shall do. You will go to bed as usual tonight, but after it's dark.
You're still awake, sir?
Yes, Harry. I think this is proving a washout, Holmes. It's very late.
Listen. Someone's outside on the roof. Wait.
easy. This is a window. Here. Right. You go first. Righto. Hold on. That's it. Right. Head. Right, come on. Bring the lamp.
All right, Watson, get them.
Right, I'm with
After the initial tussle, the two men who had entered the box room from the roof gave up. They were clearly amateurs at the game and even appeared shamefaced after the lamps were lit and the window closed. Holmes viewed them with contempt mixed with pity. As he listened to their awkward explanations,
I'd never touched the job if I'd known. So help me, I wouldn't.
Me neither. And we was just told to climb in here and get back a book that this kid had nicked from a bookstore.
I didn't nick it. It cost $5.
Quiet, Harry. Well, you made a right mess of breaking and entering. Did whoever engaged you tell you who I was and who this young lad is?
Oh, no. We thought we'd find the place empty. We was told what books to look for. Travels of Imagination, something like that.
E. White Cosgrove's Travels of Imagination and Exploration. And I'll have you know that this is the house of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. You Sherlock Holmes? Oh, now we're for it.
Before we send for the police, perhaps you can tell me the name and address of whoever put you up to this attempted burglary.
A fella called Alan Mortimer. He lives at 28 Bermondside Mansions, Main Road, Radlett.
Radlett. Ah, yes. Things are beginning to form a pattern. Now, look, you two, it's clear that you have been duped and made fools of. On the other hand, had you been successful, you would no doubt have handed over the book and collected payment. How much were you offered for this job?
10 quid apiece.
Ah, that confirms our impressions of the value of the book, doesn't it, Harry? Look, this is what I shall do. I will turn you over to the police, but I shan't prefer charges until tomorrow. If I can clear up this matter swiftly, then we will see if we can't let you off with just a warning. But if things go wrong, I shall call upon you to give evidence against the true offender. Is that clear?
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir.
All right, Watson. Well, let's get these men down to the police station. Then I think we've had enough for one Sunday night. Tomorrow, we shall be paying a visit to Radlett, to the home of Mr. Robert Johnson, where I hope we can successfully conclude this very interesting matter. And as for you, Harry, you get to bed with no more questions asked. Understand?
could not resist the temptation of a trip to Radlett the following day. With the two would-be burglars still under lock and key, there was no chance of any information leading back to the man who called himself Alan Mortimer. It was typical of Holmes that he made young Harry do up the controversial book in a neat brown paper parcel with string tied in reef knots. We then took a train to Stanmore and a carriage to Manor Lake, Radlett. Paying off the carriage, we walked up the long driveway. Obviously, the land and manor had at one time been a famous property. A vast lake stretched to the west of the house. An attempt had been made to control the foliage, but whoever had made it had fought a losing battle. We were crossing the final lawn when two figures appeared upon another driveway, a man and a woman.
Now, who do I see approaching? You have but seen her once. What do you say, Harry?
An awful woman who wants to buy my valuable book.
Yes, it's Amelia Johnson, all right. Who's that with her?
Yes. I'd make an even guess that his name is Alan Mortimer.
Cruddy bloke who organized the burglars.
Now, if I'm right, young Harry, you must keep your mouth firmly shut. You are not going to let on about anything that has happened. If you do, you will destroy everything. Understand?
But
Now, they've seen us, and they've also recognized us. They cannot refuse to greet us. But whatever I say, you must agree. No matter how much you hate it, you must smile and nod and be a little gentleman. Understand?
but Right, I agree.
Good. Here we are. Now, good morning, Miss Johnson. I hope you'll pardon this intrusion. The fact is that my young friend here has had a change of heart and thinks he would like to talk to your uncle about the purchase of his book.
What?
I see. I don't know where Uncle is. I think he's inside the house. Good morning, Dr. Watson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Mom.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Oh, allow me to introduce you. This is my fiancé, Alan Mortimer. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
And Harry.
Pleased to meet you.
Would you excuse us? I think we'd better go on up to the house. I'd like to conclude this transaction as soon as possible. Come, Watson, Harry, this way. Good morning to Miss Johnson. Good morning, Mr. Mortimer.
Alan. Alan, what on earth could have happened? I thought you'd arranged everything, that there was no need to worry.
Something must have gone wrong. Those men have bungled it.
Well, what do we do now? If Uncle gets that book back, that man, Sherlock Holmes, is quite capable.
We shall just have to wait. If Holmes does work things out, it will go very heavily against us. But we shall just have to wait and see, shan't we?
Within a few minutes, we were up at the house. An elderly manservant showed us into a large, dilapidated room where, from behind an enormous desk, a thin, distinguished man rose to his feet and made us welcome. He explained his circumstances and how he came to part with the book.
As you can tell by looking around you, Mr. Holmes, my family have fallen on rather hard times. We used, in the old days, to be very wealthy. My ancestors have lived here for hundreds of years. I am the last of the Johnsons. Yes, naturally, I wish to end my days here. The thought of giving up the place at my age is repugnant to me. So I have been forced to sell my possessions in order to live. Amongst the things I got rid of is the family silver and many rare books. I sent a whole lot to Nesbitt and Son. Amongst them was the Cosgrove. I fail to see why you wish to return it.
I don't. But there's a riddle attached to this book, Mr. Johnson. And I think with your help, I can solve that riddle. And perhaps in doing so, I'll be able to help you overcome some of your more pressing problems.
Riddle? What sort of riddle? I don't understand.
Open up the book, Harry.
Very well, sir.
Now, to start with, I want to know who was the original owner of this book, his background, the sort of man he was.
Well, that's easily answered. It was my great-grandfather, old Peter. He returned from many years sailing the world and did a lot of rebuilding to this manor. He created the lake, set out the gardens. He was an eccentric, an amiable adventurer.
Ah, so he landscaped the grounds. Harry, turn to the centre spread pages of the book.
Those are the 2 pages that show the south of England and the Isle of Wight. There are lovely monsters and even a whale blowing a waterspout. Look, lots of pirates and galleons. It's a bit messy, though. Someone seems to have written in the margins. Can't read it very well. What's it mean, Mr. Holmes?
An examination of the writing through a magnifying glass. Is TRESORTROUVE.
Oh, trésor trouvé. Treasure found, or as we say, treasure trove.
Yes, and it's on the island marked with a cross, very near to that water spout.
A treasure! On the Isle of Wight?
I think not. Let's come to the window. You see, the French windows open out with a view across the lake. Now, do you see anything unusual about it?
Oh, best that I can. Well, it looks a bit overgrown. That's if you forgive the observation, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, I agree, but personally, I've never liked that lake. It seems so oddly designed. No symmetry, just everything thrown together.
Look more closely at the small island towards the far end. I think if we had a bird's-eye view of its shape, we would be reminded of something. Now, does it mean anything?
Well, I must confess I don't know what you're getting at.
Well, what about you, Harry? Come along, you're a bright boy. What does it remind you of?
Well, funny. I've got it. It's the same shape as the map. The Isle of Wight, like in the book.
Ah, exactly.
But I don't understand you. You mean that old Peter landscaped that lake and island to resemble this map?
That's it.
Now, wait a moment. There must have been a reason. But the treasure trove. You think that there's some sort of treasure hidden on that island out there?
Well, one can but assume that old Peter worked all this out for that reason. It explains why this book is so valuable. I presume that you have a boat that can get us across to the island, Mr. Johnson?
Well, there's an old rowing boat moored down there. Oh, I haven't been across to the island for months. Old Giles, my manservant, will know if it can still be used.
Good, then I suggest a trip to the island and a little exploring, don't you?
Wow! Buried treasure! The boys at school are never going to believe this. Come on! Oh, I don't understand. There isn't any water spout, Mr. Holmes. So how can we know where to look?
What's that half hidden in the reeds and bushes?
Looks like a sort of fountain. Hey, a water spout!
Pull up alongside it, Watson.
Right, Herb. There.
Right. Now, you have the spade, Mr. Johnson. Right. Let's get ashore and start to dig around that fountain. I think but a few paces the other side is the nearest we can attempt. Ready?
Yes, I'm ready. There's something here. It's metal. Joe, look. There's a small metal box. Now, come on, give me a hand. Smooth away the earth, Harry.
Right.
Right, open it. Yes, it doesn't appear to be locked. If it is, prise it open, Watson.
Right.
Whoa. Whoa. Just look at that.
What a sight met our eyes when the small metal box was opened. Even though the sovereigns it contained had been buried in the moist earth for all those years, they appeared almost newly minted. They were genuine enough. The look of sheer amazement on Robert Johnson's face was only matched by the wonder of young Harry. I really believe that at that moment all this young boy's dreams came true. It was simply a fairy tale for him. Back at the house, Robert Johnson couldn't contain his delight. But Holmes, unperturbed, had to curb his enthusiasm.
I'm afraid we now have to come to the unpleasant part of the whole adventure, Mr. Johnson. I have to tell you that your niece is not the timid, loyal creature you thought her to be. She found some missing pages to the book by White Cosgrove. On those pages must have been the information that elsewhere in the book was the clue to all this money. Perhaps it said, look at the center pages, something like that. Anyway, she didn't tell you. She went to Alan Mortimer, the man she wishes to marry. She and he made a plan to get hold of the book, seek out where old Peter had buried his fortune, and claim it for themselves. They would have tricked you out of this money. I think when you confront them with this treachery, they will be unable to deny it. If they do, well, I have proof. Witnesses now under lock and key. Get rid of both of them and enjoy your old age, Mr. Johnson.
I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Holmes. Surely there must be some way, some reward.
Holmes refused the reward, but young Harry Hudson went back to London with 10 shiny sovereigns in his pocket, the happiest lad in the whole world.
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
More coffee, Holmes? More coffee?
Oh, no, thank you. I've had more than enough.
Is there something troubling you? Something you've seen in the newspaper, perhaps?
Yes, here, the disappearance of George Corrigan.
Did you know the fellow?
Yes, he was assistant librarian for a time at the Agnes Head Collection in Oxford. He helped me greatly the year I was researching 18th century maritime law. Well, he certainly tracked down a lot of information for me. Saved me hours of work.
Well, you say he's disappeared.
Yes, it says here, he was last seen walking into the Quaker meeting house near Waterloo Bridge. And since then, he's not been sighted. His wife, Ada Corrigan, is distraught.
We present The Stories of Sherlock Holmes.
The Vanishing Quaker.
As far as I could recall, he was devoted to his wife Ada, who had not enjoyed good health. I well remember the pride he took in his role at the library. Delighted if he'd been able to locate a reference for me. His small, wiry figure, always busy going to and fro with armfuls of books. I had to admit to myself that I found the news of his disappearance quite disconcerting. I was on the point of suggesting to Watson that we pay a visit to Ada when the lady appeared in my rooms.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, we've never met before. I'm Ada Corrigan.
Good morning, Mrs. Corrigan. Good morning. I was planning to visit you. I read about this unfortunate business only this morning. Could you let me have the details, please?
Well, he's gone. He's vanished.
Mrs. Corrigan, had your husband been receiving any medical attention before this happened?
No, but he will when I find him. And I will. I'll leave no stone unturned.
Mrs. Corrigan, please sit down and quietly and sensibly tell me all the facts. I'm sure we will arrive at an explanation. George would never go off and leave you.
Well, he has. He's more than left. He's vanished.
Yes, so you said.
And under the most peculiar circumstances. It's hardly to be credited. I'm the laughing stock of the neighborhood.
Oh, come now, surely not.
Well, I am. And as a professional man, you must agree with me that I deserve to know the truth.
Mrs. Corrigan, as a professional man, I am unable to pass any sort of judgment at all, unless you tell me the facts.
Well, this is what has happened. As you may know, Mr. Holmes, we live in our own house in Faraday Road, near Waterloo Bridge. The house is in my name, left to me by an uncle. Well, it's a very comfortable home.
Quite.
Well, I suffer severely from ill health, and I rarely leave the house, just to do a little shopping and to attend church activities. George has to do the rest when he gets back from the office. I've always said that if the woman is ill...
Mrs. Corrigan, please, try to get to the point. Which office? Where was George working?
Well, they know nothing. They were the first people I went to speak to. It's an insurance office in Fenchurch Street. He's been a clerk there for a long time now. The last they saw of him was when he left, last Saturday.
When did you last see him, Mrs. Corrigan?
At the meeting house, of course.
Really, Mrs. Corrigan, I must ask you to tell me the whole story. I cannot follow your reasoning. And I cannot help but feel that there must be a logical explanation to all
there
this.
isn't. There isn't a logical explanation. Well, in the simplest possible language, I'll tell you what happened. George and I have been going to the Quaker meeting house for many years. And last Sunday, we left the house as usual. A carriage calls for us by regular appointment, and we arrive there always on the dot of 10:45. On rainy days, we give our maid Gwyneth a lift. I've always insisted that whoever works for us must share our fate.
Quite.
Well, Sunday was wet, so Gwyneth came with us. We attended the meeting together. No, Gwyneth was sitting at the back, of course. We met with Mr. Symes. He's one of the elders there. Afterwards, and we were standing at the front having a talk.
Very good to see you looking so well, Mrs. Corrigan.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Symes. One does one's best. But I do find the weather gets me down.
Yes. Well, we must hope that it improves soon. It's been quite dreadful, I do agree.
But you said in this morning's meeting that one weathers the storm in order to spread sunshine. We appreciated that, didn't we, George?
Oh, yes, indeed, my dear.
I thought it was wonderful, Mr. Symes.
Thank you, Gwyneth.
Gwyneth,
Thank you.
go outside and see if the rain stopped.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm afraid you'll find it's still raining, my dear lady.
Pardon me for interrupting. I'm afraid I've left Ada's monthly meeting agenda. Excuse me, I'll just run off and fetch it. Excuse me, my dear.
Really, George, you're becoming so forgetful.
I won't be a minute, dear.
He'll forget his head one of these days. He's getting old, that's what it is. He's getting old. And that was the last time I ever saw George.
You're saying he went back inside the Quaker meeting house to get a prayer book, and that's the last time you saw your husband?
That is correct. Gwyneth and I stood waiting while the rain poured down, and George did not come back. In the end, Mr. Symes searched the whole place, but there wasn't a trace of him. We searched and searched. No one saw him leave the building, and he certainly wasn't inside.
Did you check the other exits to the building?
The only other door, the door out of the back of the meeting house, was locked.
I see.
Well, eventually Gwyneth and I gave up and went home. I've been waiting in vain for his reappearance and explanation, but there's not been sight or sound of him.
Very extraordinary. You say that you have been to his place of business?
Oh, yes. I spent the day making inquiries there. No one has seen George Corrigan since the moment he disappeared inside the Quaker meeting house. He's vanished.
Have you been to the police? Have you contacted the local hospitals?
Of course not. Can I say to the police? I should become an even greater figure of fun than I am now. Why should I contact the hospitals? He was in excellent health.
There might have been an accident, madam. A fall, amnesia.
Oh, in the Quaker meeting house? No, this is a plot. A devious plot of some kind. And I am the victim, Mr. Holmes. I am the innocent victim.
But I couldn't take the whole incident very seriously. I had little sympathy for Ada Corrigan, who seemed to be facing a loss in a strident and rather selfish way. She seemed less concerned with her husband's disappearance than with her own personal inconvenience. I was concerned, however, about the fate of my old acquaintance, George Corrigan. When Watson read out to me a pertinent piece from the newspaper, we were having a drink at the Wig and Pen Club.
Extraordinary. It says here a man's overcoat, jacket, and a pair of shoes have been found in the Thames near Waterloo Bridge. A gold watch was found in the pocket of the jacket and is the property of Mr. George Corrigan of Faraday Street, Waterloo Bridge. I say, Holmes, isn't that the same man?
Well, indeed it is, yes, Watson. Does it say that the body has been found?
No, it says nothing about a body, although the inference of drowning is obvious.
Let me see that newspaper article. The newspaper told me very little, but those were the clothes of George Corrigan without a doubt. It was expected that the body would turn up with the change of the tide. I didn't think it would. And it was whilst I was questioning my doubt about the possible death of Corrigan when Watson said...
I've heard of this Quaker meeting house. It's quite a history connecting it to the River Thames. Well, no doubt the police will now carry out their investigations and solve the mystery, don't you think so, Holmes?
No, I don't think anything of the kind. I think they'll make a great fuss for a few weeks and then put it down as another unsolved mystery connected with the River Thames.
Oh, the man must be somewhere. The chances are that they'll drag parts of the river and find his body.
I doubt that, Watson. I doubt that very much.
Why? He doesn't sound like the sort of man to disappear without a trace. Well, it must be foul play somewhere. He must have been abducted, attacked, the body thrown into the water.
Again, I doubt it. What is the motive?
Who knows? Robbery?
Oh, come, Watson, come. A few articles of clothing are found in the water, and in order that identification is verified, a gold watch is left in the pocket of the jacket. Does that fit with robbery? A watch is usually worn on a chain attached to a waistcoat. It's all too pathetically obvious for words. My suggestion is that you come along with me and we start to find out something about Corrigan's private life.
Did you not discover anything from his wife?
That is a waste of time. She's a mass of contradictions. No, Watson, in any case, I don't mean his home life. I mean his private life.
What, you mean the people he worked with?
Yes, exactly. The people he spent his lunch hours with. I can't see him walking home and back each lunch hour, and Mrs. Corrigan doesn't give me the impression of being the loving wife who would take the trouble to make him sandwiches. Yes, I think we should try a local pub. The Red Cap is the most likely, on the corner of Paradise Row.
Certainly, if you say so. Well, when would you like to go?
Oh, there's no time like the present, my dear Watson. Let's finish our drinks and then take a cab to the Red Cap. I feel sure the local people will be eager to expand on the mystery.
Oh, of course I knew him. Been coming in here regular for a long time. Funny sort of bloke, though.
In what way?
Well, sort of kept himself to himself, like, if you know what I mean.
Well, in all this time he must have conversed with you, or perhaps you saw him bring a friend in here with him?
Well, that's the funny part. He didn't seem to have no friends. And he never said much to me, neither, apart from the usual pleasantries about the weather or the cricket score, No, he was definitely a dark horse, was that one. Oh, speaking of horses, there's a chap sitting over there that might be able to help you. There, the green table in the corner. It's Irish Mick, the bookie. Mr. Corrigan always had something to talk about with Irish Mick. I can't think what they had to talk about. George Corrigan hardly looked like a betting man.
No, well, thank you very much. Come, Watson, let's move from the bar. Hello, Mick. I'm surprised to find you in this place. I thought you usually operate south of the river.
Oh, hello there, Mr. Holmes. Nice to see you, sis, indeed. That's right about that one. Southwark used to be my pitch. That is up to about 18 months ago when I ran into a spot of trouble, you might say.
Oh, nothing serious, I suppose?
Oh, not at all, Mr. Holmes, not at all. It's all been well looked after. Now, I'm doing all right up here. Nice bunch of punters. I can't grumble.
Talking of punters, Mick, I have 3 questions that I need direct answers to.
All right.
I promise you that none of this will go any further than myself. They concern George Corrigan.
Fair enough, Mr. Holmes. I owe you. Though what is it you want to know?
Just how clever a punter was George Corrigan? How many years had he been backing the horses? And how much do you think he's won recently?
Amazed at the way Holmes gathered information. It was as though he already knew the answers to the questions he was asking. I'd seen it time and again. Irish Mick knew he'd be caught out if he lied, and it was clear that he knew Holmes extremely well. Holmes explained it all as we walked away from Paradise Row to the Corrigan's house in Faraday Street.
Yes, it was a stroke of luck meeting Irish Mick like that, Watson. should certainly put us on the right course. He's given me information before. He's 100% reliable.
It's very surprising, really. If George Corrigan is a sincere Quaker, he'd never drink and certainly never gamble. It's quite unheard of. And yet, according to what we've just been told, he was a most successful punter. It makes you wonder. He must have made quite a few £100, too. Do you think his wife knows anything about his activities?
I'm sure she does not. I'm not going to tell her either. Ah, this must be the house. Come along. I think the ringing of the bell is a little unnecessary, Watson. The lace curtains in the front room are moving as we approached.
There's no one at home. If the newspaper reporters, you can stay away. Mrs. Corrigan won't see anyone.
We are not newspaper men. I am Sherlock Holmes. Mrs. Corrigan came to see me, looking for some assistance.
Oh, better come in then.
Thank you. You must be the maid, Gwyneth. This is Dr. Watson. Is Mrs. Corrigan at home?
Yes, but I don't think you'll be very welcome. She's in a terrible paddy at the moment. The place has been besieged by newspaper men, and we're right fed up with it. I'm leaving her to it, that I can tell you, here and now.
You are leaving Mrs. Corrigan's employment? How surprising.
There's nothing surprising about it. I only stayed on here because of him. He's a nice, quiet, gentle person, he is. And now he's gone. Well, I can't put up with old prune face a moment longer. My man won't let me anyhow. Says I've got to leave. He's made all the arrangements to take me to Australia, he has. And I shall be that glad, I can tell you.
Leaving for Australia?
That's right. There's my cases, right there by the all stand, all ready.
What's going on in here? Good. I gave you strict instructions not to open the door to anyone. How dare you disobey?
Oh, shut up, you silly old bat.
What?
I don't have to listen to any more of your insults. You with your airs and graces trying to be a lady, pretending to be an invalid. I've had enough, and it's goodbye to bad rubbish.
I'll call the police. I'll call the police.
You can call whoever you like. If they've got any sense, they wouldn't listen.
Why, of all the ungrateful hussy. How dare she speak to me like that? A woman in my condition.
We appear to have called at an inappropriate time, Holmes.
On the contrary, my dear Watson, we've called at just the right time. I suggest you prescribe a slight sedative and leave Mrs. Corrigan to recover. I'm sorry that we can do no more, Mrs. Corrigan, but you are in no condition to be questioned. When you are sure the lady is in a satisfactory condition, Watson, I suggest we pay a visit to the Quaker meeting house. It's bound to be more constructive than this, would you not agree?
I'm sorry I can't be more helpful, Mr. Holmes. I'm indeed sorry for Mrs. Corrigan. The whole affair is most mysterious, unaccountable, really. Well, it all happened exactly as she described it to you. George Corrigan disappeared inside the building, and as far as we know, was not seen again. We searched for hours, as you can imagine. Oh, it is really most regrettable. We've been besieged by spectators and by the newspapers, and all of them ghoulishly searching for a dead body.
Well, surely that's unlikely, considering the news given out about his clothing being found at the river.
Well, I'm at my wit's end. I really am. Are there any more questions you would like to ask, Mr. Holmes?
Mr.
Holmes.
Yes. These manuscripts on your shelves dealing with the history of the Quaker meeting house. May I ask if George Corrigan ever took any interest in them?
Oh, what an extraordinary thing to ask. Well, as a matter of fact, he did. He borrowed them to study on one occasion.
Can you say how long ago that was?
Oh, about 3 months or so, I suppose. He was most interested in the old legend that was buried treasure in the vault.
Ah, is that so?
Yes.
Was there any particular part of these manuscripts to take his attention?
Well, I don't know. Those diagrams did, yes. He tried to puzzle out what they meant, but not without much success, of course.
This diagram, may I please make a copy of it?
Oh, gracious me, that is exactly what George Corrigan did.
Yeah. Then we're on the right lines, are we not? I think this is all I need. Thank you, Mr. Symes. We shall not be bothering you again. I take it that the building is open and we may go inside?
Oh, yes, of course, anyone may. With luck, the sensation seekers will have gone by now.
I trust so. Come, Watson. It's time we put an end to this fruitless search.
Me like a series of meaningless lines, Holmes. What does it mean?
Notice the circle and the figures? A compass. Observe how it's all marked within the rectangle that is clearly this building, the old meeting house. See? The angles of direction. That means down these stone steps over there. Yes, they must lead under the building.
Yes, well, that will just be the vaults. Be no way out.
Yes, but nevertheless, we will follow the map. Remember, it's supposed to lead to buried treasure. Ah, here's a candle in the niche here. That's it.
All right.
Right, now. Again, you can spot the map. Here you see north is clearly marked. You see? And north facing indicates that wall over there. There's an arrow with 4 and another marking 5E. So, note the large paving stones. 4 from the north wall and 5 to the east brings us to... here.
Oh, that's all very fine, but well, there's nothing here.
No, but there is a compass reading on the map. It has the figures 8 and 4. Yes. Try paces, Watson. 8 that way and then 4 along the wall.
Very well. Right, well, this takes me to the wall, then along to this corridor. There's nothing here. Wait. Here, there seems to be another niche similar to the one that held the candle.
Feel inside and press. Press against the stone as heavily as you can.
Right. I think something's moving. Wait.
That's it. More, Watson, more.
Holmes, look, there's an opening. Big enough to crawl through.
Now, just as I thought. Come, follow me. This may be rather uncomfortable, but necessary. We may have to go on all fours, but I think I can state confidently that this is the way George Corrigan disappeared last Sunday, and it will lead to the river. Of that I have no doubt. Come, Watson, after me.
I followed Holmes in what was one of the most uncomfortable endeavors I've ever experienced. Holmes, being thinner and fitter than I, was able to proceed quite nimbly on his hands and knees. I was less fortunate with my bulk, groping my way along the floor. Eventually, the passageway began to widen. We heard the dripping of water. A wide tunnel opened before us, and a glimmer of daylight at the end of it.
Well, at least we can stand upright now. You all right, Watson?
No, I've cramps and I'm covered with filth. Otherwise, I'm in splendid shape. Well, so much for the buried treasure.
Oh, that must have been discovered centuries ago. But you must admit that passageway out is still most effective.
Well, George Corrigan must have had a very good reason for choosing such an uncomfortable way to disappear. By the way, where does this lead?
To the river, near the spot where his clothes were found, I presume.
What do we do next, Holmes?
Well, take a hansom to the docks at Tilbury. There we consult the dockmaster and ask to look at his shipping list. When I consulted last night's newspaper, there was a ship named the Star of Sydney. A word with her captain might solve all this. Daylight at last. Come, Watson. There's no time to lose.
There's only one passenger cabin booked on the ship, sir. It's booked in the name of Bradshaw, returning to Sydney. This is it, sir.
Yes. What is it, Captain? I specifically asked not to...
Hello, George. May we come in? This is my colleague, Dr. Watson. Thank you, Captain, for your trouble.
Very good, sir.
You had better come in.
Thank you. Well, George, we've gone to a great deal of trouble to find you. What does all this mean?
How did you find out I was here? Have the police sent you? Has Ada sent you? You must not give me away. You mustn't.
One thing at a time. How we found you is immaterial. Your wife knows nothing of this visit. Neither do the police. And providing you've committed no criminal act, then I see no reason why they should be told. Have you committed a crime, George? Something you are ashamed of?
I'm only ashamed of living under Ada's thumb for all these years. The only crime I committed was to marry her for her money. I didn't even get that. I worked and slaved for her for nearly 20 years. And then I started to make a plan. I needed money. So
you gambled, and you were a success? A few months ago, you hit a real jackpot, and that gave you enough to think about starting a new life in Australia. Is that not right?
That is it, exactly. But I had tried to find some hidden treasure in the old Quaker meeting house. I thought that might give me the means of getting out of the country. But of course, when I got there was nothing there. Only the escape route. And last Sunday, I did it. I did it, and I'm never going back to that old life. I'm free. Oh, Mr. Holmes, please keep my secret.
We agreed to keep Corrigan's secret. And on the way back to Baker Street, Holmes chuckled as he said,
It wasn't really a case at all, Watson. However, it does make one think of all the men who would envy George Corrigan. Quite probably more than one would imagine. Especially if he has the girl with him.
Who? Which girl?
Did you not notice? It was a double cabin. And the woman's hat box on the table near the door. Gwyneth said her man friend was taking her to Australia. That's what put me onto the Star of Sydney. George Corrigan is the man friend. Well, there's a lot of truth in the old saying, still waters run deep. Wouldn't you agree, Watson?
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
There's one thing I cannot understand, Watson.
I'm relieved to hear that, Holmes. You can usually explain everything away. Now, what is it that confounds you?
Accountancy. I've often thought it to be worth my while to engage a lady secretary who could put my affairs in order, but... I do confess I cannot cope with balancing these bills.
You're in financial trouble, Holmes?
I don't think so, but then you see, I understand these banking statements so little I can't be sure. Oh, well, I shall simply have to rely upon my bank manager's judgment. What a bore earning a living is.
We present The Stories of Sherlock Holmes. Tonight,
The Unpaid Debt.
I knew very little about Sherlock Holmes' financial affairs, but I knew better than to try, and to offer to help would have been regarded as an insult. On the very morning when he placed aside his account books with a weary sigh, Mrs. Hudson announced a visitor.
Lord Edgerton to see you, sir.
Oh, he's not made an appointment, but I think I have the time. Ask him in, will you please, Mrs. Hudson?
Please come this way, my lord.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes, I'm so sorry to call without making an appointment, but I was passing this way and rang the bell upon a sudden impulse. If this intrusion's inconvenient...
Not at all, no, not at all. This is my friend and colleague, Dr. John Watson.
Good morning.
We work together on many of my cases. Please feel free to speak openly in front of him.
Very well.
Do sit down. Smoke if you wish. I'm about to enjoy a pipe myself.
Thank you.
Now, I can tell that something's disturbing you. What made you rise so early and walk here through Regent's Park? Do you normally suffer from insomnia?
Gracious. How could you have guessed that?
Your boots are muddy. Earth clogged under the instep. Earth that has dried with leaves and the seeds of shrubs. Only one place near here where you could have picked that up. We had a shower early on, about 7 o'clock. Since then, it's been a fine day. So, you must have walked out early as your coats and hats are still damp. You cut yourself whilst shaving and you're wearing cufflinks that do not match. All this indicates a distressed state of mind for a man of your station. Can I help you, my lord?
I sincerely hope so, Holmes. The fact is that, like most men who have a town house and a cottage in the country, by the time of settlement taxes, I've very little money left.
I know exactly what you mean. Pray continue.
Well, not only that, but my pride has been hurt. I'll be frank. I'm something of a gambler. Not a week passes without I have a few friends in to dinner and a game afterwards. I did so a couple of nights or so ago. It was, on the whole, a lamentable evening.
You lost heavily?
No. No, on the contrary, I won a considerable amount.
Perhaps you better start from the very beginning and tell me everything that happened. You knew the people with whom you played?
Oh, yes, quite well. The party consisted of 2 men, a woman, and myself. We were playing poker. One of the men was an American friend, Joe Van Heimer, over here on a short stay. The other man was Ernest Hardcastle, the son of a very old friend, Lionel Hardcastle. The lady was a charming widow, Mrs. Amanda Vane. We spent a most pleasant evening, the play going one way and then another, and the hour grew very late. Eventually, we decided upon one last game. Then came the time to settle up.
Well, I guess that's enough for one night for me. Excuse me.
Oh, I quite understand, Mr. Van Heimer. It's been quite a long evening. How do I stand? I think I've made money tonight. £50. Yes?
You're right. Joe here owes you that. I seem to have been the lucky one.
And I, the unlucky one. How much do I owe you?
As much as 3,500, I'm afraid, Ernest.
Oh, well, it's yours tonight, mine next week. I'm afraid I shall not be able to write you a cheque on my own account this evening. The fact is that I'm overdrawn already, but dear Papa will help out. He always does. Will it be all right if I arrange things with him and then I'll send a cheque round in the course of tomorrow?
Yes, of course.
Well, I guess I can pay you out in cash and get me a hansom back to the Dorchester.
Oh, there's no need. I have a carriage waiting in the courtyard below. I shall be only too pleased to drive home that way. What about you, Ernest?
I think I'll walk. It isn't far. Clear my head.
Just as you wish. Oh, dear, what a mess we've made of this room. Your servants will despise us when they come to clear away.
Oh, that'll not be until late tomorrow morning. I'm leaving everything just as it is, and I've given orders not to be disturbed.
Oh.
Well, I guess it's good night. Thank you, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, of course. Good night, Amanda. Good night, Joe.
Good night.
Bad luck, Ernest.
Oh, I'm only lending you the money. I'll take it off you again next week. Father will settle up tomorrow. Good night.
Thanks for a lovely evening. I have enjoyed myself.
Good night, Amanda. Good night, Joe. Good night.
As you say, a profitable evening. Well, there seems no trouble there. Did the cheque arrive the next day?
2 days later. It was an open cheque, and I went round to Ernest's bank to cash it. Imagine my surprise when they refused to do so. They stamped it not payable. The cheque had been stopped. Why, I don't know.
You think that Ernest's father refused? Well, 3,000 is it's quite a lot of money. Perhaps he decided that he couldn't afford it.
No. Hardcastle has more money than he knows what to do with. And he must have given Ernest the money to put in his own account before he could write me out the cheque. But why was it stopped? Why did Ernest write out a cheque and then have it stopped immediately?
Well, it is very strange, isn't it? But why come to me? What makes you think I can do anything about it?
Frankly, I'm afraid of some sort of scandal. Lionel Hardcastle's an extremely influential man. If he and his son feel they have a good reason for stopping that cheque, then I'm on dangerous ground. If I tell people that Ernest has welched on a debt, his honour will be questioned. He'll naturally defend himself, and there'll be the most almighty scandal. Every club in London will be gossiping. I can't afford that. Frankly, I need to clear this matter up silently, and I need to be paid the money that I've won. I need the cash.
I see. But if Ernest Hardcastle is indeed a friend of yours, then can't you quietly call upon him and chat this over in a friendly manner? Ask him man to man what the trouble is.
I've tried that. I knew that Ernest would be at his club at lunchtime yesterday and made a point of being there. I came across him in the billiard room. Ah, Ernest. Very man I wish to see. Look here, what is all this nonsense over that cheque?
Do you think this is quite the right place to discuss such things?
It's as good as any other, isn't it? Come, a short answer.
Well, this is deuced awkward. I'm most fearfully sorry, but the fact is that, well, my father ordered me to stop payment.
But why?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I simply received a message from him ordering me to stop payment to you. You know what father is like. I have to obey him no matter what he asks, and I simply don't know why he demanded that I did so. Oh, excuse me now. I have to play.
And that was that. I don't feel like having an open confrontation with Lionel Hardcastle himself. I thought I'd call on you. You have a reputation of solving delicate problems with discretion.
Thank you.
Then, will you help?
I will try. I have my own methods, of course. I must be allowed complete freedom.
No, you shall have it. Regarding payment, as I've told you, I am rather hard up at the present. That's why I need that cheque. So...
The debt is for 3,500, not so? I take it that you would be happy with the round figure of 3,000. My bank manager would be pleased to accept the rest. Good day, Lord Egerton.
I couldn't help smiling at the way Holmes neatly adjusted his bank balance that morning, but I'd no doubt that he would succeed in straightening matters out. It was a simple matter for a man of his reputation to gain an audience with the millionaire Lionel Hardcastle.
Glad of this opportunity to make your acquaintance, Holmes. Wish it could have been made in other circumstances.
Thank you. I've been as frank as I can. I'm representing Lord Egerton, who feels too embarrassed by the circumstances to call himself.
Appreciate that.
If the expression does not appear too jocular, I shall lay my cards on the table. At the general settlement of that poker game, your son had to pay Lord Egerton £3,500. He agreed to pay the debt. You advanced him the money which he placed in his account. He then wrote out a cheque and delivered it. But suddenly you demanded it be stopped. Now, to my mind, someone must have influenced you in that decision.
Oh?
Of course. It could surely have been one of only two people. The other two seated round that card table. Joe Van Heimer or Mrs. Amanda Vane. Mr. Van Heimer is about his business. According to the Dorchester, a very busy man. That leaves Amanda Vane. Now, what did she say to you that made you stop that cheque, Mr. Hardcastle?
You're as astute as they say you are, Holmes. You are quite correct. Mrs. Vane wrote me a note informing me that, in her opinion, the game had been a cheat from beginning to end.
Ah, that is as I thought. Do you know Mrs. Vane very well?
I can't say that I do. I have met her, say, half a dozen times, that's all.
And yet you are prepared to accept her accusation against the sound reputation of Lord Egerton, a man you have known and been friendly with for many years? How very extraordinary.
It's not extraordinary at all. You see, Holmes, I have since met with Mrs. Vane, and she is able to prove her accusation. The games in which my son lost that considerable amount of money were played with a rigged deck of cards, and Lord Egerton used them to cheat him. I'm prepared to remain silent upon the matter, provided that Egerton drops it at once and never asks a member of my family into his home again. Perhaps you'll be good enough to convey that message back to him. Good day to you, Holmes.
When I got back to Baker Street that afternoon, I found Sherlock Holmes awaiting me with some impatience. He was dressed very smartly and obviously about to go out. He insisted that I went with him. It was the last thing I wanted to do, but he was adamant. I was forced to wash and change and accompany him to Eaton Square, the sumptuous home of Mrs. Amanda Vane. I found her totally enchanting. She smiled her welcome and assumed the role of a shrewd hostess.
I take it that this is a business visit, Mr. Holmes, but that is no reason why you should not enjoy it. There's whiskey and soda here, and cigarettes at your elbow. I'm sure the doctor would approve of a little stimulant after a hard day. May I have a small whiskey?
Yes, of course.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Vane. But before going any further, I must point out that you've put yourself in something of a predicament.
Oh, good. Really, life is so boring for me, doing the same dreary social rounds, that any kind of predicament sounds most exciting. And I must admit that I'm completely thrilled at meeting so famous a detective. I shall dine out on this for weeks.
Your drink, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. Oh, do help yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just right. Now, Mr. Holmes, please explain my predicament. I feel I should know what it is.
You wrote a note to Lionel Hardcastle regarding a certain poker game. Later you visited him and told him that the game's a crooked one. Due to your visit, Hardcastle ordered his son to stop payment on a cheque for his debts. Now, the inference is that Lord Egerton is a cheat. Now, have you heard of the laws of libel and slander, Mrs. Vane? If this comes out and you cannot prove your accusation, a suit against you would cost you a great deal of money.
Why, no. I was aware of that before I did what I did. But what else could I do, once I was convinced that the game was cheated?
How do you know it was? What is your proof?
Well, it's really all rather simple. You see, I have no reason in the world to complain. After all, I won £50.
From whom?
Joe Van Heimer. And he paid me there and then in notes. Lucky me. To tell you the truth, I was thrilled a bit. I'm normally not very lucky at cards. I do better at love, I must admit. Anyway, the game broke up very late, and I gave Mr. Van Heimer a lift back to Dorchester in my carriage. And when I was in the carriage, I realized I'd left my vanity bag behind. So silly. I remembered exactly where I'd left it. I put the money Joe had given me in my purse, and my purse in my large handbag. That one hanging from its strap over that chair. But my vanity bag I'd left out. Well, the very next morning, I was leaving from Euston to Tring on the early 7:20 train. I had to virtually pass the Egerton home. I stopped my carriage and called. I know it was very early and hardly the done thing, but I knew only the servants would be up. Fortunately, old Harris, the handyman, was there. He let me in. He knows me, so it was all right. I told him I'd find my own way out. So I went into the room where we played cards the night before. It was exactly as we'd left it, even to the empty glasses and the smell of stale cigarette stubs. I found my bag, just where I knew it would be, and I was about to leave when...
Yes, go on.
Well, the early morning sunlight was streaming through the lace curtains, and it fell across the card table and illuminated the back of the cards, lying just as we left them, scattered across the table. I picked one up and looked at the glazed back of it. Then I picked up another and studied that. And then another. They were all marked.
Marked?
Yes, very cleverly marked, with pinpricks along the edge of the borders. Tiny pinpricks, which you could hardly see, unless you looked for them. But if you were dealing, I knew you could tell the value of the cards by touch, providing you knew the code.
I see, how very clever. And then?
Why, I stood there for some minutes, trying to take it all in. Then I examined the other cards. They all carried some kind of small indentation. I didn't know what to do. Then I made up my mind. I took 5 or 6 cards at random and left the house. Later, I wrote to Mr. Hardcastle and took those cards along to show him. I left the decision to him. He stopped Ernest's cheque. And really, I don't think anyone can blame him. Sure you won't have another drink, Mr. Holmes?
Holmes declined a drink and wished Amanda Vane a good evening. He was silent as we walked down into Sloane Square and hailed a hansom cab. And it wasn't until we were clattering our way up Sloane Street that he broke the silence.
It won't do, Watson. It just won't do.
Just a sad state of affairs for Lord Egerton. Mrs. Vane acted very well within her rights. After all, Holmes, what else could the lady do?
That is exactly the point, Watson. I'm a man who deals in facts, a man who searches for clues. But clues aren't necessarily all material ones that can be studied under a microscope. One can detect from people's behavior. And Mrs. Vane's behavior is extraordinary.
I thought she was a perfect hostess.
I mean when she applied to the facts of the card game. For instance, why did she go to Hardcastle Senior about the cheated game? Surely the man she should have gone to is the man she played the game with. The man who stood to lose £3,500. Ernest Hardcastle is a grown man, but he's a very spoilt puppy and very much under his father's thumb. But he was the one directly involved. Why didn't you go to him?
Well, perhaps she did.
If she did, he'd know the reason for stopping the cheque. He says he doesn't.
I don't understand.
Amanda Vane didn't go to Ernest and tell him the game was a cheat. And she didn't go to Joe Vanheimer either. Now, why? Because it was necessary to their little plot that there should seem to be no collusion between them.
Collusion? What? Between Mrs. Vane and Ernest Hardcastle?
Oh, yes, of course.
What, you mean that the whole thing was an elaborate trick?
Look at it this way, Watson. Lord Egerton told us that Lionel Hardcastle was accustomed to paying his son's gambling debts. He's a millionaire. He's not going to have society saying his son cannot pay his way. But clearly Hardcastle knows of his extravagances, so he keeps him on a short supply of money. So short that Ernest feels that sometimes he has to trick his father into giving more.
I still don't understand. I'm sorry.
Ernest and Amanda Vane worked it all out. They go to a poker game at Lord Egerton's as partners. If they both won, then of course it would be all right, but Ernest loses heavily, and the party breaks up. Amanda Vane leaves her vanity bag behind on purpose. Next morning, knowing the habits of Egerton's household, she goes round there and gets herself admitted by Harris, the handyman. She sends him about his business, saying she'll let herself out. In the card room, she finds her vanity bag. From it, she extracts a slender hatpin and quickly makes a series of marks on the cards in front of her. It'll be easy. A matter of 10 minutes at the outside. Then she takes some of the cards and leaves.
Well, Holmes, is this possible that beautiful-looking woman, so charming?
Unlike you, I've never allowed my mind to be swayed by a woman's looks. She went to Lionel Hardcastle because she knew his reaction would be to order Ernest to stop payment on the cheque.
Holmes, but surely you could be wrong. I mean, well, I can't believe that Amanda Vane is a liar.
I think she's worse than that. And she gets her facts wrong. I know the train's out of Euston on a weekday morning. There is no train on the main line to Tring at 7:20. The northbound expresses don't stop at Tring. The first train out of Euston that does is the 10:05 for Coventry. It's a small point, but significant.
Oh, Holmes, if you are correct, then what are we to do?
Well, I think if they can cheat, then so can I. Driver?
Yes, sir.
I've changed my mind. Not Baker Street. Take us to Hanover Square, number 5, the home of Lord Arthur Egerton. And smartly, please.
Upon arrival at Hanover Square, Holmes asked me to stay in the cab. He ran up the steps, rang the bell, and was admitted by the butler. 20 minutes elapsed before he returned, a grim smile of satisfaction on his face. Climbing into the cab, he said,
Well, that's that. It'll cost his lordship another £100 and the hire of the Rose Room at the Dorchester, but I think it will be worth it. You'll have an interesting evening out in front of you for tomorrow, Watson. Baker Street now. Thank you, driver.
I knew better than to question Holmes when he was in one of his secretive moods. I would have to be kept in the dark along with everyone else. But I did make sure that I was free the next evening, and once again, suitably attired for the occasion, I accompanied him to the Dorchester Hotel. We were shown to the Rose Room, and there were Lord Egerton and the American, to whom I was introduced, Joe Van Heimer. We were given drinks, and then Hardcastle and his son arrived.
I really don't understand all this. What is it all about? I received your telegram, Holmes, but... Oh, Egerton. I hardly expected this.
Good evening, Lionel. Good evening, Ernest. I don't think you know Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, do you?
Good evening. Look, what does this mean? If there is no explanation, then I think we should go at once.
Please don't go before our last guest arrives. Here she is. Please come in, Mrs. Vane.
Good evening. I came in answer to your telegram, Ernest. I didn't expect a gathering like this. What does it mean?
Oh, come along now.
Please do allow me to offer my apologies. I'm afraid I've been guilty of sending telegrams under false names. I'm sorry, but I needed to gather you all together, and it seemed the only way. I think we all know now of the trouble that arose out of the poker game held at Lord Egerton's the other evening. There's been a great deal of confusion, and I think it right that the truth be told between these four walls. I do assure you that as far as I am concerned, it will never be talked of again outside this room.
Get to the point, man.
Very well. I have to say that a false accusation has been made against the integrity of my client, Lord Egerton. Mrs. Vane maintains that he played with marked cards for the last game in which Ernest Hardcastle lost a very great deal of money. That accusation is completely untrue.
How dare you? I stand by every word I said.
The cards were marked with pinpricks, but you marked them the morning after the game, when you called to collect your vanity bag. Now, didn't you, Mrs. Vane?
That's a lie, a wicked lie. You cannot prove that.
No? There's one other person here who has yet to make an appearance. Let me draw back the curtain.
Good evening. Yes, ma'am. I was told to come here, like Mr. Holmes said.
Because this man saw you using a hatpin to make those marks. The door was slightly ajar. There's a mirror on the wall near the fireplace. You were actually seen, Mrs. Vane.
Man, you fool, you stupid blundering fool. Why didn't you make sure you were alone?
Thank you. That's all we needed to know. I think, Hardcastle, Lord Egerton, you must decide future actions between yourselves, don't you? Of course, Ernest knew that once the money was in the bank, his father would never ask for it to be returned, so he was £3,500 to the good. He isn't now, but I'm £500 better off.
And the man, Harris?
He is £100 to the good. You will notice, Watson, that he didn't actually lie at all. He just had to appear. I did the lying for him. Mrs. Vane's reaction and Ernest Hardcastle's sense of guilt did the rest. Yes, quite a profitable investigation. I'm sure my bank manager would be very pleased.
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
Oh, Dr. Watson, you're here at last.
I came as quickly as I could. Now, this is Dr. Temple.
Good morning, sir.
He's prepared to examine Sherlock Holmes. Well, how is he this morning?
He's no better, Doctor. He won't eat a thing. I've tried my best, but he seems to be just wasting away. Oh, please, Dr. Watson, you've got to do something. He's so weak, and I'm so worried.
Watson, the very man I think a glass of water.
Holmes! Holmes! Hold him, Temple! Hold him!
Hold him!
Here, lady on chestnut. What about some more?
We present the stories of Sherlock Holmes.
Tragedy at Toridge Lodge. Sherlock Holmes had been overworking. I'd warned him repeatedly that he could not continue to live as he was doing. The man had a cast-iron constitution, but took no care of himself, and his lowered condition was not helped by excessive smoking and the taking of certain drugs. Being such a close friend meant that he felt he could ignore my advice, but Mrs. Hudson insisted, quite rightly, that something should be done. And so I'd appealed to Dr. Hugh Temple, a Harley Street specialist, to call at Baker Street. I was glad of his help that morning when Holmes collapsed.
Watson is right, Holmes. You're just severely run down by pressure of work. You can't continue like this. You must stop. If you carry on, it will result in a complete breakdown.
I have so much to do, Temple.
Well, if you're dragged off to a nursing home for 6 months, you won't be able to work at all, will you? So why not be sensible? You must stop working and rest.
There, you see, Holmes, this is exactly what I've been telling you for months. Now, surely you'll listen to reason.
Oh, it'll be sheer lunacy to ignore our advice.
Oh, very well. What do you recommend?
A complete change. Are you able to take a few weeks off, Watson?
Yes, I have leave due to me. I could always get a locum doctor to take over my practice for a while.
Splendid, then do so. Take Holmes right away. Look, I know of a small cottage down near Tintagel, a place called Toridge Cove. I think I can get it for you. It's ideal. Peace, quiet, long walks along the cliffs, sea air, good Cornish food. What do you say, Holmes? Shall I arrange it for you?
Holmes had to agree. And so, a few days later, we made the journey west to a small, whitewashed cottage on the cliffs at Toridge Cove. It was perfect. The rolling moorlands filled with history, sites of old villages, ancient tongues, and deep superstitions. Holmes relaxed immediately, and within a short while, his health began to improve. We met many of the local people, including the vicar of St. Agnes's, one Humphrey Hogg. The Reverend was a large, affable man, intensely interested in his parish and steeped in Cornish folklore. He was very friendly with the squire and the landed gentry, including Alan Witheridge and his brother Martin, who lived at Toridge Lodge. It was the vicar and Alan Witheridge who called upon us early one fine spring morning.
Oh, I'm sorry if I'm calling at a very early hour. The fact is that something most tragic has happened at Toridge Lodge. I can only regard it as an act of providence that you have been sent down here at this particular time, Mr. Holmes. I cannot think of another man in all England better served to help us.
But with respect, Vicar, Mr. Holmes has been ordered to rest. He's been told not to work in any way.
Now, Watson, I've been very patient up until now. But I must be able to make my own decisions. Now, pray, let us hear what these gentlemen have to say. Do please be seated.
Oh, thank you.
I think you can explain more clearly than I can, Reverend. I'm altogether too upset for speech.
Very well. My friend here is in some sort of shock and small wonder. You see, he spent last evening in the company of his brother Martin and his wife June up at Toridge Lodge. They played cribbage and Alan departed about 10:30. This morning he received an urgent message to go up to the lodge. There he found his brother and wife exactly as he had left them the night before. But both were dead. Seated by the fire, a tea tray, cups, etc. laid out before them, and both with a look of sheer terror on their faces. They appear to have died of fright.
Died of fright? Is that the official medical verdict?
Alas, no. We shall have to wait for the post-mortem results, but that is how it appears. It's devilish. It's not of this world.
We must examine all natural theories before embracing the supernatural. Can you give me some more background? I take it that you do not stay at Toridge Lodge.
No, I have my own cottage on the other side of the village. Martin was my elder brother. He inherited the estates and married June some 5 years ago. We were all on the most friendly terms. I was out walking early this morning when I met the local doctor in his carriage. He said he'd been called up to the lodge by old Mrs. Ives, the housekeeper. She'd sent a message for help and he was on his way. So naturally, I joined him. When we got there, we went straight to that dreadful front room. The doctor said they had been dead for at least 8 hours. There were no signs of violence. Everything was orderly. There was a tray with cups and milk. They always made themselves a hot drink at night. The kettle still stood in the hearth, above the ashes in the grate. Nothing had been disturbed, but both their faces were contorted as though in sheer terror. Eyes open, staring, mouths slack and lips twisted. Oh, it was horrible. Even the doctor staggered back in a near faint.
Was there an aroma, a smell of any kind?
Strange you should ask that. I think there was a faint smell of something like eucalyptus. I'm not sure. My mind was so taken up by the sight of my brother and sister-in-law. It was horrible, Mr. Holmes. The most horrible thing I have ever experienced.
I've seldom heard anything so intriguing. I should like to go over to Toridge Lodge straight away. Are you coming, Watson?
Toridge Lodge was smaller than I expected, old-fashioned, made of stone with large mullioned windows and well-kept gardens. As we walked up the gravel path, Ellen Witheridge pointed out the room where the tragedy had occurred. Holmes was immediately interested.
So that is the room. Oh, how clumsy of me. I've knocked over a flower pot. Excuse me. There's no harm done. Shall we proceed?
By all means. This way. There's Mrs. Ives at the door. I take it you'll wish to ask her a few questions?
If I may. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Mrs. Ives, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes from London. He is a famous detective and is here to investigate the strange death of my brother and sister-in-law. Please answer all his questions as clearly as you can.
Very well, sir. Would you perhaps wish to go into the house?
Go with Mrs. Ives, Holmes. I have to go to the mortuary. I'll return as soon as I can.
Oh, very well. Did you hear anything during the night, Mrs. Ives?
No, not a thing, sir. I sleep at the back, and I'm a very heavy sleeper. I can't be accounting for it at all, and that's a fact. There never been any trouble in this house. Everyone very friendly like here, sir. When I came in here this morning, I got such a shock, I fainted right away. Of course, they took both the bodies away to the mortuary, and I've just left everything like it is, touched nothing. Fact is, the place now gives me the creeps, sir, so I'm leaving, I am. Well, here we are, sir, and you're welcome to the search of the room. I'm not staying another night under this roof, sir. If you want my opinion, 'tis in the grip of the devil, sir. Excuse me, I'm packing my bags and getting up to join my sister in Bartman. I reckon you won't be able to explain all this, sir. You see, 'tis the work of the devil. The work of the devil.
Well, Watson, let's try to define things, shall we? We start by ruling out the work of the devil and all things supernatural. We have a man and a woman dead from an unknown cause. An expression of fear on their faces, but no attempt made to remove themselves from the room. The cribbage board and cards are still on the table in the window alcove. The chocolate drink, all prepared, awaiting hot water from the kettle. Nothing is disturbed. No one entered through the door or the window. I examined the flower bed when I knocked over the flower pot. There were no marks in the damp earth outside the window. Therefore, they were alone. Now, as a medical man, what is your opinion?
Well, I'm darned if I know, Holmes. Have you any ideas?
I shall await the coroner's report with the greatest interest, but I suspect it will indicate heart failure in both cases. Yes, if I'm correct, the paralysis will have worn off by now.
Paralysis? Would you seriously believe that they were somehow...
Wait. Later, Watson, later. We're about to have a visitor. See, in the mirror, the reflection of someone coming up the path. Now, I wonder if he can throw any light upon this. Yes, perhaps we should go and greet him. But firstly, Watson, I'd be very much obliged if you would endeavour to remove that kettle from the hearth and make some excuse in the kitchen and smuggle it out and back to our own cottage.
Kettle? Holmes, you serious?
Never more so. Come, do as I request. I know it's removing evidence from the scene of the crime, but there are occasions when this is justified. Come, Watson, quickly. Yes, I will meet this gentleman alone. Quickly, Watson, the kettle, quickly.
I quickly did as Holmes requested, while he went to the front door of Toridge Lodge and admitted the visitor. I thought it wise to remain out of sight while he interviewed the gentleman.
I'm John Brandon. I understand there's been a death here in this house. Who are you, and where is the Reverend Hogg?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I happen to be staying in this district and was sent for by Mr. Alan Witheridge. His brother Martin and sister-in-law June died last night in very mysterious circumstances.
So the telegram told me. I have been a great friend of Martin and June since before their marriage. How did they die?
Well, the cause of death has not yet been officially decided. There is a theory of heart failure due to tremendous fear.
Death by fear? What absolute nonsense. Where is Alan Witheridge and that old fool of a woman, Mrs. Ives, who's supposed to look after the place?
Alan Witheridge is down at the morgue, and I imagine will be reporting to the police. Mrs. Ives is leaving. She's packing. Might I ask what your interest is in this tragic event?
I've told you. I'm great friends of the family. I've lived near Plymouth for some time, and I'm now off on a scientific exploration in Africa. I was on my way when I received a telegram from the Reverend Hogg advising me of this tragedy. Naturally, I came back to see if there was anything I could do.
There doesn't seem to be anything anyone can do.
Then why are you here? Have you been asked by the police to investigate?
No. It was a personal request by the vicar and Alan Witheridge. Also, I have no doubt that the police will appreciate my cooperation.
Have you formulated any theories?
I cannot answer that at this stage.
Then I seem to be wasting my time. I need not prolong the visit. I shall stay overnight at the Swan Inn and resume my journey tomorrow, having seen Alan and the vicar. Good day to you, Mr. Holmes.
Good day, Mr. Brandon.
I say, Holmes, I couldn't help overhearing. What a singularly unpleasant young man. What did he want?
It is exactly the question I'm asking myself. It's obvious that he was most put out at finding me here. His name is John Brandon, and he's a scientist of some sort. I feel I shall have to do some investigating into his activities. He could be far more important than appears. Watson, I see you've made a parcel of sorts for that kettle. Good. Well, I doubt if we can do much good here. I suggest a walk along the cliffs to our own cottage. I'm sure the police will get in touch with us sooner or later. This really is becoming quite a fascinating case.
Yes, I'm beginning to wonder what's going to happen next. Well, shall we go then, Holmes? To our surprise, very little happened during the rest of that day. Holmes spent quite some time inspecting the kettle I'd taken from the lodge, and in the morning he read the doctor's post-mortem report, which was much as he had anticipated.
Yes, well, it doesn't tell us a great deal, Watson. In fact, it rather supports the idea that Witheridge and his wife were both frightened to death. It simply says that there was a cardiac arrest with no visible secondary effects.
Well, Holmes, that's all very well, but it can't stop there. There must be more in it than ordinary heart failure. Hang it all, two people can't die of natural causes at exactly the same time. Now, what caused the attack?
Well, that's something that must now be decided at the coroner's inquest. I have a theory, but it's not substantiated by any data. This man, John Brandon, might well be the answer to many questions. I've sent a few telegrams off to London. Expect replies very shortly.
Who did Brandon say he was? I heard him say he was a friend of the family, but not much else.
He's a scientist, an explorer, and an adventurer. On the face of it, he doesn't seem to have much in common with a quiet, domestic Cornish family, now does he?
Indeed, no. The only part of Cornwall is the last place I'd expect such a man to settle down.
Seems he has a house near Plymouth, which he uses as an experimental laboratory. He finds it easier to conduct his researches while living in the country.
Researchers? Well, what sort of research?
Well, now I think we may be getting near to the crux of the matter. Oh, and speaking of experiments, I think the time has come for me to try one. Would you be prepared to help?
Oh, yes, of course. If it will help clear up this mysterious affair, then I shall only be too pleased.
I think I must warn you that this could be dangerous, but it's vital that I find out certain facts.
We've faced plenty of danger together before this, Holmes. Now, please, carry on. Explain what I have to do.
You don't have to do anything, except close all the windows and settle yourself down in that armchair. There's a fire glowing in the grate, as you will observe, and I've filled the kettle with water. I shall now place it on the fire, and as though we were about to have a cup of tea.
Oh, it's not a bad idea. I could do with a cup myself. Shall I fetch the tea thing?
Not yet, Watson, not yet.
Well, windows are all closed. What now?
Now, we wait for the water to boil, Watson. And while it does, let me remind you of a few facts. One is that Martin Witheridge and his wife, June, always took a hot drink in the evening before retiring. You will recall that it was many hours after their death, some 8 hours before anyone entered that room at Toridge Lodge. When Mrs. Ives entered, she felt faint. The doctor was quite overcome. And Alan Witheridge said he detected a faint smell of eucalyptus. Well, surely this points to a poisonous atmosphere. 3 things must be remembered. The hot drink, the smell of eucalyptus and the stuffy atmosphere, and the twisted look of terror on the faces of the victims. You follow me so far?
Yes. You mean that in some way the boiling of the water... I say, Holmes, do I begin to... No, is it my imagination, or... Can I faintly smell something like eucalyptus?
I think you may well, Watson. The water's beginning to boil in the kettle. It's at this stage that I think Mrs. Witheridge got up to remove the kettle from the fire. Then she just had time to place it in the hearth before collapsing in her chair. But
oh, gracious, Holmes, I've taken a few breaths, and yet
get out, Watson. Get out.
My brain, it's swirling. It's for my eyes.
Don't waste breath. The door. Get to the door.
No, I can't see much. Tug's full.
Oh, help me, Watson. I can't move.
I've got to. Holmes, come on. Help you. I've got to get you out. Got to get out. Holmes. Holmes. You all right?
Yes. Thank you, Watson. I'm sorry. I should never have tried that experiment. It was far too dangerous. I would never have got out of that room without your help.
Hardly. No, I managed it myself, but... Holmes, what does it all mean?
It means that is how the killing took place. A highly poisonous drug, little known in this country, was lodged in the curved spout of that kettle. It was in the form of large crystals that melted into the steam and formed a highly poisonous gas that paralyzes the nerves of human beings. Later, this shrinking of the nervous system slowly disappears, leaving only the outward signs of what caused the breathing and the heart to stop.
Gracious Holmes, what is this drug? Where does it come from, and who could have administered it in such a devilish manner?
Well, the drug, I think, is known as quaker. It's found in French Equatorial Africa. I can only remember what I've read in the past. Were I back at Baker Street, I should be able to look it up in a second, but I'm sure that was the drug, and that was how it was used.
Who could have devised this deliberate murder unless... Oh, yes, of course. John Brendan is the scientific explorer, the man who carries out experiments in a remote country house, the man who's due to leave for Africa again at any day.
Quite correct, Watson. And the man I sent a message to earlier and who was about to call upon us. Notice, if you will, the donkey carts turning off the sea road and making its way up our path.
By Joe, you're right. Now, how are you going to get him to admit all this, Holmes? How can you trick him into confessing that he's a cold-blooded murderer?
I shall present him with the facts as I see them. Remember that I am not officially in charge of this case, Watson. If there's any charge of murder, then it must come, of course, from the police.
Well, I hope he doesn't turn nasty. We've had 1 year escape from death already. Yes, I think I have a black horn stick.
Oh, that's it. Afternoon. I had a message at the Swan that you wanted to see me, Mr. Holmes. And might I ask who this gentleman is who suddenly appears in the doorway with that heavy stick?
My name is John Watson, and I'm prepared to give a good account of myself if you're out to cause trouble, Brendan.
Oh, like that, is it?
Please, this is not necessary. Thank you for coming over, Brendan. I'm sorry I can't ask you inside, but I've been conducting a certain chemical experiment which has left the room in a state where I cannot receive visitors. You are aware of the effects of peco vagnano when it is dissolved in steam, of course.
What do you mean?
Oh, come. You are a scientist and an explorer. In a district as remote as this, there must be some person familiar with this poison.
Look here, Holmes. Are you accusing me of using an obscure African poison to kill Martin and June Witheridge? Because if you are, then you have got the wrong man. However, since we last met, I've been doing a great deal of investigating on my own behalf. I think I know exactly what occurred the other night, and I think I can prove it. Will you listen to my theory, Mr. Holmes, and then act upon it? Will you?
I left the 2 men alone in the garden and tried to clear our cottage of the noxious fumes that nearly paralyzed us. I'd barely done this when Holmes came in with the news that we were to depart for Toridge Lodge. Alan Witheridge, John Brendan, and the Reverend Humphrey Hogg were expected, and Holmes insisted upon taking the offensive kettle with him. Once in the lodge, We persuaded Mrs. Ives, who was on the point of leaving, to arrange for tea to be taken into the sitting room. The kettle was filled and placed on a trivet by the fire. Our guests arrived.
Alas, my poor parish seems to be the haunt of the devil. The local folk are talking of black magic being used. 'Tis a sorry day for Toridge Cove.
I think the matter will soon be cleared up, Vicar. Pray take a seat. And you, Mr. Witheridge, there by the fire.
But, that was the chair my brother died in. You shouldn't be afraid of the past, Alan. I will take this one that June always had. I have nothing to fear. Are we taking tea, Holmes?
Why not? It's all laid out. Perhaps, Watson, you'd be good enough to place the kettle over the fire?
Well, yes. Yes, of course.
But, what is the purpose of all this? I mean, what are you intending to do? I don't understand. Don't you? This is the same kettle, Alan. It has a partly dissolved crystal still concealed within. The water will boil, and then... No, I don't understand, no. Let me out of here. Let me out. I refuse to play these games. I'm going. Let me out. You stole from my laboratory, didn't you? After I'd made preparations for my trip and had reached Plymouth, you broke into my house and stole the poisonous chemicals, the crystals. You deliberately poisoned your own brother and sister-in-law to get the inheritance. No. You killed them, didn't you? No, I deny it. You can't prove it. You can't. Of
course, the tea was never served. Under the merciless attack of John Brendan and the quiet summing up from Sherlock Holmes, Alan Witheridge broke down and confessed. With the Reverend Hogg as witness, the police were called in, and the case was virtually over. Back at our cottage, Holmes poured John Brendan a large whiskey and soda.
Oh, thank you, Holmes. There's very little left for me to say. I shall, of course, postpone my trip until after the case is brought to court and justice done. Any other questions?
Yes, I still cannot quite see why you should have been friendly with Alan Witheridge, to the extent that he knew your work so well.
The fact is, I wasn't all that friendly with him, but I was with his sister-in-law, June. We'd been in love years ago, before she married Martin. I suppose Alan thought if the method of killing his brother was discovered, I might have been suspected. I think I was very lucky that you came to convalesce, Mr. Holmes. May your good health continue for many years. Cheers.
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
Oh, how wonderful. John, I've got a letter from my brother Percy down at Nettlebed.
Oh, what of it, Mary, my dear? I hope he's well.
Yes, he says everything in his parish is going very nicely. But he recalls that next weekend is our anniversary. And he suggests that we go down to stay with him at the vicarage for the weekend.
Oh, and you rather like the idea.
Oh, yes. We could go to church on a Sunday at St. Anne's, where we were married just a year ago. Oh, John, dear, do say yes.
Very well, my dear. If I can arrange it, I agree.
And Percy also extends an invitation to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. John, dear, do you think you can persuade him to accept? Wouldn't that be quite splendid?
We present The Stories of Sherlock Holmes.
Tragedy at Nettlebed.
Mary and I had been married at Nettlebed Church in the parish of her brother, the Reverend Percy Phelps. She'd now been Mrs. Watson for a year, and the most happy year it had been. My only regret during all that time was that I'd been forced to leave Sherlock Holmes alone in the rooms at 221B Baker Street. Of course, I never lost touch. I saw him several times a week and was still able to give him assistance whenever he asked for it. I wondered if he wouldn't be bored by the prospect of a weekend in the country, but I was duty-bound to ask him. I knew I'd get a direct reply to my invitation.
Your anniversary, is it, Watson? I'm so sorry I'd forgotten. Time passes so quickly, and the last year has simply flown by. It's very generous of the Reverend Phelps to extend the invitation to include me.
Well, I'll quite understand if you simply say that you don't want to go, Holmes. I shall explain that you're too busy. Although if you can manage it, it'll make Mary very happy.
I have very many happy memories of Nettlebed. It's within the area of Great Paddock, isn't it? Yes, now that rings a bell. Let me see, where are my scrapbooks? I think this is the one. Now, let's see. If you recall, I started making up these books some years ago. They're press cuttings of many unsolved murders. I think just about 6 months ago, there was a most interesting case. No one ever caught a man who strangled his wife in one of the woods. I think it was Great Foxwood. And the man's name was Perryman. Yes, now let's see. Perryman. Yes, here we are. Yes, I was right. Some 7 months back, Arthur Perryman. Yes, that was the man's name. According to all these reports, he found out his wife had been unfaithful. One night he simply ran amok, and following her to an assignation in Great Foxwood, he strangled her and then disappeared. The police traced him to Southampton, where he gave them the slip, and it's assumed that he managed to get out of the country. One of the few unsolved murders of the year. Interesting.
Yes, I did read something about it. I know. Mary was rather upset as it occurred on the lands of Sir Rodney Trimble, who happens to be a great friend of her brother's. Well, frankly, she hasn't been back to Nettlebed since that tragedy occurred.
And yet, of course, she's prepared to now.
Well, this is a very special occasion. She wouldn't want to turn down the Reverend's invitation if she wanted to. She's a god to go.
Well, the whole thing is most understandable. And, of course, I shall be happy to accompany you, Watson.
Holmes, you will, but that's excellent. We shall all be so pleased. Now, I doubt if I shall be able to leave until lunchtime on Friday. Mary will probably go down a day or two earlier, so can you manage the 2:30 train from Euston on Friday, Holmes? Holmes agreed to the arrangement, and Mary was delighted. She sent a telegram to her brother saying she'd be with him midweek, and that Holmes and I would arrive late on Friday afternoon. The plan worked perfectly. Our train was on time at Great Paddock Station, and a pony and trap was waiting for us. I recognized the driver. It was Ben Crump, who worked for Sir Rodney Trimble.
Afternoon, Dr. Watson. Afternoon, sir. You must be Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Climb in.
Thank you. It's nice to see you, Ben. But why are you meeting us? You still working for Sir Rodney?
No, that's right, but the Reverend and your wife, they both been out all day. So I was asked to take the trap and fetch you. There's no need to worry. I'll be home by the time you get there. Are you comfortable, are you?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ben.
Right, go on in, Bessie. Come on, up we go. Oh, this old one. Yes, you'll find her way back to St. Anne's without anyone holding the reins.
I know. Bessie's a great favourite of my brother-in-law's. It's been a good year for you up at the Hall, Ben.
Times are hard, Dr. Watson. He's cut back a lot on entertaining. This weekend be the first time he's planned to shoot for nearly a year.
Oh, planning a shoot over the weekend, is he?
Tomorrow, the weather holds. I reckon you two gentlemen will be invited. You like to shoot, Mr. Holmes?
I'm considered quite a good shot, yes.
Oh, he's one of the very best.
What do you go for here? Pheasants? Woodcock?
That's right. Now, there's plenty of them to be flushed out. Just hope when the beaters start, we can cut the birds off from heading to Great Fox Wood.
Great Fox Wood? Yes. That's where there was a murder some few months ago, is that right?
No, that's right. We don't talk about that round here, Mr. Holmes. Some things is best forgotten. If you want to be a friend to Sir Rodney's and everyone else in these parts, you won't ever mention it. You got my meaning? Now looks like rain clouds over there. Come on, Bess, lass, get on with it. Get us home.
Within half an hour, we were at the vicarage, and all thoughts of Ben Crumb's warning had faded from my mind. It was a wonderful reunion. Percy Phelps was warm in his welcome, and Mary radiant to be able to play hostess for him as she used to in the old days. Dinner was delicious. And we sat by a pine log fire afterwards, taking coffee and liqueurs. It was a most pleasant domestic scene.
Ah, what could be more delightful than having one's family and dear friends gathered around one's own hearth? I'm so happy to see you all. Oh, I do wish you the very best of health. May you enjoy being here this weekend as much as I shall enjoy having you.
It's quite wonderful. I'm so pleased that you came with John, Mr. Holmes.
I took very little persuading, I can assure you, Mary. The only thing that amazes me is that a whole year has passed since you were married. It seems but a few months.
Oh, wait until you try marriage, Holmes. A year with the wrong person might seem like 10.
Well, here's to the next 10 years for you, John, and for you, Mary.
Oh, thank you, dear.
To a very happy couple. Oh, dear, now who can that
Now,
be?
don't you get up, Percy, dear. Let me go and answer the door. I shan't be a moment. You men stay where you are and enjoy your drink.
Well, I must congratulate you, John. You've made my sister the happiest woman in the world. I always thought she would become a contented woman, but I never believed that within a year she could change so much. Well, she looks and sounds years younger.
Well, I refuse to believe that I brought her more happiness than she's brought me. I suppose we're just very lucky, that's all.
Yes, you are. And I hope and pray that luck continues.
Well, I see no reason why it shouldn't.
Percy, look who's here. Sir Rodney, who's just walked over from the hall. Do come in, Sir Rodney.
Thank you, my dear. Sir Rodney, what a lovely surprise. And you've arrived at just the right time. John Watson is here and also Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Well, as long as I'm not intruding upon a family reunion. Hello, Watson. So nice to see you.
Yes.
And of course, I've heard much about you, Mr. Holmes. Welcome to Nettlebed.
Yeah, then, do join us for coffee and a drink, would you, Sir Rodney?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, but no, I can but stop a moment. I called to find out if your guests had arrived, Reverend, and if you'd all care to join us up at the Hall in our first shoot of the season tomorrow.
I think we've heard news of this, Sir Rodney. The old man Crump said something about it when he drove us up from the station. And I remember thinking, very selfishly, that I hoped I'd get an invitation.
Oh, good man. That means you'll accept.
Yes, only too willingly.
And you, Holmes?
How can I refuse? I shall look forward to it.
It's no good asking me, of course, but Mary will, I'm sure, be delighted to join you all at the Hall and act as hostess. She's extremely good at organizing things like refreshments.
Would you consent, Mary, my dear? I do confess that I am in need of such help. And I'd be very, very grateful. The servants will do all the preparations, of course, but I need someone to be with the field carriages to serve refreshments to the guests.
Well, of course, I'd love it. I have done a little of that sort of thing on other occasions, so I know I can manage it. And it means I'll be able to watch John and Mr. Holmes in action. Will there be many guests, and shall I know any of them?
There are about a dozen, including yourselves. Mostly local people, a few from town. Oh, the only one you might know is David Endicott.
David? How silly of me. I've spilt my wine. Who did you say? David Endicott. Yes, I think I did meet him many years ago. I doubt if he'll remember me, though.
Well, I must be on my way. Don't bother to see me out. I know my way. Good night to you all. I'll expect you up at the Hall nice and early tomorrow morning. We want to start the first partridge drive at about 10 o'clock, so shall we say no later than 9:30? Good night to you.
Thank you so much. Good night, Sir Rodney.
After Sir Rodney had left, the talk became general. But I noticed that Mary was very quiet. We retired early, and the moment that we were in our room, she gave a little sob and placed her arms round me.
Oh, John.
Mary, my dear, what is it?
Oh, John. I didn't think it would ever happen. You remember many years ago that I told you I was engaged to be married and that the man walked out on me. I was jilted.
Dear, that was years ago. What does that matter now? We're happily married. You've put all that behind you.
No, listen to me, please, dear. The man I was to have married is this man, David Endicott.
He will be at the shoot tomorrow, and John, I am so afraid. So very afraid.
Afraid? You mean you're afraid of meeting this man from your past?
Yes, I am. Afraid of what might happen.
You think you might still feel attracted to him?
Oh, no, dear. No, nothing like that. No, it's just that I have found out so much more about him, and then... John, I'm convinced that he is evil. David Endicott is an evil man and can only bring tragedy to Nettlebed. I'm sure of it.
I've never seen Mary so upset. Of course, she'd explained to me before we were married that she'd suffered an unhappy love affair years ago, but I'd never inquired the man's name or asked for any details. Now we were to confront him the following day. I reassured my wife, told her that nothing could possibly go wrong, that she was to get a good night's sleep, and it would all seem less formidable in the morning. But I was disturbed in my own mind, and I should have been even more so if I'd known what was going on at the hall that very evening.
Ah, now that's better.
David, I think the time has come for us to have a little talk.
Yes, Sir Rodney, what is on your mind? Surely you don't mind me helping myself to a slight nightcap?
Oh, no, not at all. Although I think I should be honest and say that you seem to be drinking far more heavily than ever. It's no way out, you know.
No way out from what?
From the sort of dissipated life that you're leading, that you have led for so many years.
Oh, dear. Am I going to end my first day here with a moral lecture?
Yes, if that is what you wish to call it. This is still my house, and I must ask you to respect the fact that I have many guests tomorrow. You are part of the weekend, and I hope you enjoy yourself. You're a good shot and should be very useful in the team. But please, I know what you're like on these occasions. You can no more keep your hands off a woman than you can the whiskey bottle. I won't stand for it tomorrow.
Well, that sounds more like a threat than a lecture. Why don't you just ask me to leave right now?
You know full well I can't do that. Please, David, it's important. And there are lots of really nice people coming down. One of them is someone I think you used to know very well. Mary Phelps, the vicar's sister. She's now married to Dr. Watson, who is also a member of our party.
Mary? Little Mary Phelps? Well, well, well.
She is no longer little Mary Phelps. She's Mrs. John Watson, and she's a grown woman. Mature, sensible, and very happy. Just make sure that you don't cause trouble, David. If you do, in any way, then I shall no longer protect you or give you further warnings. I shall kill you.
Morning dawned bright and clear, but with a sharp wind. Mary and I were up early. She seemed pale and tense, but quite determined to go through with the day as it had been planned. The Reverend Phelps had been called out during the night to sit with a sick person in the neighboring village. And of Sherlock Holmes there was no sign. We were having coffee in the morning room when he marched in from the garden, fully dressed and flushed from a brisk walk.
Ah, coffee, what a splendid idea. Good morning, Watson. Morning, Mary.
Good morning.
A black with 2 sugars.
Yes, very well. I'll pour it for you. Come and sit down.
Morning, Holmes. You're up and about early.
I thought it as well to take a look at the lie of the land before embarking on any practical shooting. Sir Rodney has his drives all marked out, and the beaters are gathered in force.
Sounds very promising.
Yes, it does. The only trouble is the wind. From what I can make out of the planned shoot, the first drive should flush the birds out from over the land known as Barnes Bridge and the low meadows. If the wind freshens more than it is, then the birds will be taken over the farm and into Great Fox Wood.
Great Fox Wood?
That's right. I understand that no one likes to talk about that wood and what happened there some 7 months ago.
No, it was horrible. Even Percy refuses to discuss it. No one ever goes in there these days.
And you don't know why?
No one does. It's a forbidden subject, you see. Something no one talks about.
Oh, yes, they do, amongst themselves. During my early morning walk, I came across the man Ben Crump. He's acting head marker, placing sticks with names on them where he wants the guns to be standing. I greeted him, and he didn't seem at all pleased to see me.
Well, morning, Mr. Holmes. What were you doing down here at this hour?
Oh, just finding my bearings. I see you're placing the guns.
That's it.
Anxious to keep the partridge out of Great Fox Wood? Why? Because the beaters will refuse to go in there? They think it's evil?
How did you come to know that?
Oh, rumors spread very quickly in the country, as you know. Have you any theories of your own, Ben?
I just do my job. So I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Holmes. These beaters are fine men, but you won't get any of them in that wood, not even in daylight.
Because that's where the murder took place?
Not just that. They say it's haunted. That man Arthur Perryman, who strangled his wife because she was unfaithful to him, he hanged himself in there, and I can see his body rotting from a tree.
They seriously believe this?
Oh, not only that, his spirit comes back and haunts the wood. Don't reckon I believe it myself. I knew Perryman. He's a violent man, wild, jealous. The folks around here swear they've seen his ghost. Now, so that's how the matter stands. We just got to do our best to see that the birds don't take us into Great Fox Wood. It's the wind that's the trouble. Just the wind.
So, it seems we're in for a very interesting morning, doesn't it, Watson? Very interesting.
Well, I do believe this is the real reason why I accepted the invitation to this weekend. Now, really, it's too bad of you, Holmes. Why can't you leave things alone and not turn a pleasant day's outing into a criminal investigation?
I suppose because it's my job, Watson. You ready to go?
I was annoyed with Holmes. I'd suspected all along that he was far more interested in the unsolved murder than he was in celebrating my wedding anniversary. I was also worried about Mary and this man David Endicott. I wondered what they would think of each other. But when they met, everything seemed perfectly normal.
David, you must meet Dr. Watson and his wife. You remember Mary?
Oh, of course I do. How could I forget her? Hello, Mary. How wonderful to see you again after all these years. And your husband. Very pleased to meet you, Dr. Watson. Congratulations. I can see you've made Mary a very happy woman.
Thank you. I'm pleased to meet you also.
You're looking well, David. I hope you are happy also.
Oh, very. Watson, can I show you the shooting positions? Ben has them marked out. This way. Come along, David.
Coming, Sir Rodney. I hope we can meet again later, Mary. I've such a lot to tell you. You're looking quite lovely. Oh, I've been such a fool. I made my biggest mistake over you. I shall be in touch.
David!
Coming. Goodbye, Mary, my dear.
Sir Rodney called us all to order. The party was divided up, and we set out for the first drive. I found myself in a gun position next to Holmes, with David Endicott on the far side. The beaters began work, and suddenly the wind freshened. Almost at once, the partridge began to leave cover and fly straight overhead. Whistles shrilled. The birds came on. They were easy targets. But to my sheer surprise, Holmes hardly produced a shot, and when he did, it was as though he deliberately aimed wild. The whole covey got through, and heading over the farm, settled gently in Great Fox Wood.
Holmes! Holmes, what the devil's the matter with you? You and Watson have let them all through. They're in Great Fox. Come on, men. Let's beat them out.
The men won't go in there, Sir Rodney.
Damn it, they'll have to go in there. We lead them ourselves. Come on, men. Come on. Follow me.
There was no time for more talk. We all felt pretty guilty at this failure, and I was determined to see that it didn't occur again, even if I had to drop Holmes' birds myself. But once we landed in the woods, we found it more difficult than we'd thought. Every possible tree seemed to have been planted there. The place was overgrown, and one could scarcely get through the jungle-like foliage. I found myself with Endicott and Holmes, with Sir Rodney to our left shouting orders.
Forward! Forward! Men! There to the left!
Holmes, you right?
Yes. Take a grip on your gun, Watson, and make sure it's fully loaded.
Come on!
You may well have to use it soon.
Yeah.
Look, there is a clearing. There. Stop. Now, wait a moment.
Come on, men! Come on!
For the love of God, stop him! Stop him! It's coming! The thing's coming! Watch out!
Great heavens, what is it? It's like a wild dog.
Hey, watch out! Keep away!
Run! It's the only thing! Run! Stop him! Stop him! Endicott, look out!
Shoot! Shoot, Watson! Shoot! Shoot!
Great heavens! What's happened? David! And this creature...
That creature, Sir Rodney, is Arthur Perryman, the man who 7 months ago strangled his wife in these woods, and then went mad and has been living here almost as an animal ever since. Poor devil. It's just as well that it's all over for him. And as for David Endicott, well, you'd better see what you can do for him, haven't you, Watson?
I knelt beside the still form of David Endicott in the depths of Great Foxwood. I had to tear Perryman's hands away from him. Endicott was badly savaged about the face and throat. Of course, the whole shoot was called off. The guests departed with as much dignity as they could muster, and the police were called in. It wasn't until we were all safely back in the vicarage and Percy Phelps was dispensing stiff drinks that Holmes was able to complete his summing up.
I'm sorry that the weekend started so badly, but I'm sure it was most necessary to solve the problem. You see, I checked most thoroughly in London before we came down here on the Perryman murder. I was sure that the police were quite wrong in thinking that Arthur Perryman had managed to escape after killing his wife. He hadn't left the country, yet no one had picked up a hint about him for over 7 months. There was a rumor of a ghost in the woods. Could it be that Perryman was still there? There is a disused hut in the clearing. He'd lived there, crazed and wild. It was necessary to bring matters to a head. Of course, when he recognized David Endicott, his murderous intent flooded back. For it was Endicott who was his late wife's lover, the cause of his breakdown. It was Endicott who had a hold over Sir Rodney and was sponging off him, bleeding him white. And it is Endicott who now lies very ill in Great Paddock Hospital. I think that justice has been done, and perhaps many doubts removed from everyone's mind. Don't you agree, Watson?
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
Now, Watson, let me see if I can hit the target with ease.
Oh, yes, good shot, Holmes. Yes, but I can't understand for the life of me why you wish to bring a leg of mutton out here into the park in order to shoot at it with a bow and arrow. You know, you've done some bizarre things in your time, but never anything as bizarre as this. Why not use an ordinary bullseye target?
Now, come with me, Watson. You'll see. Yes. Now, you will observe that I've shot the meat cleanly in the center. The shaft of the arrow is deeply embedded. The arrowhead sticking out the other side. Now, just try and remove the arrow, will you, Watson? I think you'll understand my slight experiment.
We present The Stories of Sherlock Holmes.
The Crouch End Mystery.
Over the years, I'd grown used to Sherlock Holmes' strange ways. I'd learned that he never did anything without a good reason. All the same, I was quite amazed one early morning in the month of May, 1893, to be asked to accompany him to Regent's Park, where he quietly indulged in an archery practice. I knew he was a keen toxopholite, but could not understand why he should practice on a large leg of mutton. It didn't make sense.
Well, try to extract the arrow, Watson. You're a strong man.
Very well. Anything to humor you, Holmes. Well, I must admit it's extremely hard. I can't pull the arrow out. Quite.
Now, try pushing the arrow through and pulling from the other side.
Yes, it's considerably easier. It comes through quite cleanly. The feathered flight gives no trouble.
Exactly. Now, observe the marks that it's left, small and round. Now, as a medical man, would you not say that this could be a bullet wound? The bullet passing right through the limb?
Yes, I suppose it could. Yes, I suppose so.
Good. And that's why I've conducted this small experiment. We can go home for breakfast now, Watson.
Very well. What a strange way to start the day.
Yes, and I fancy there'll be stranger things to follow. It all has to do with the mystery down at Burnham on Crouch, of course. Well, come, let's leave before we start attracting attention. This way.
Come this way.
Oh, sounds like a visitor, Holmes. You expecting anyone?
I think it'll be Carter of Scotland Yard. He's engaged upon the Burnham on Crouch case. I've been advised that he wishes to consult me.
Mr. Carter, sir, says he has an appointment.
Oh, very good, Mrs. Hudson. Show him in, please.
Yes, sir. This way, please.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Holmes. Good morning, Dr. Watson.
Good morning. Do come and join us. Just a light breakfast.
Thank you, but I've already had an early meal at the hotel where I stayed overnight. I came uptown from Burnham on Crouch to report to Scotland Yard, but thought I'd like a word with you first.
And what have you to report?
Total failure, I'm afraid. I'd hoped to impress Inspector Lestrade, but I've got nowhere. You've been informed of the case, Mr. Holmes.
I've read all the available evidence, including the report of the inquest, very carefully. I believe there was a tobacco pouch found near the body. Did that tell you anything?
It belonged to the dead man, sir. The initials were stamped on it. It was made of ostrich leather, and that fits. He lived at Oathsworn in the Cape, South Africa, for many years.
He was a heavy smoker?
Not according to his wife. We couldn't find a pipe, for instance.
Odd. I only mentioned the pouch because that seems the only tangible piece of evidence so far.
Is this a new case of murder, Holmes?
Oh, I do beg your pardon, Watson. I'd forgotten that you know little of this. Take some coffee, Carter, and go over the case for us. I shall be none the worse for hearing the sequence of events once more. Just give me the essentials.
Very well. I have my notes here. Now, yes. This is the rough career of one Nathan Savage. Born about 50 years ago and lived the life of an adventurer. Worked an ostrich farm in South Africa and prospected for gold out there. Made and lost several fortunes. Yes, about 5 years ago, he retired to Burnham on Crouch to an estate called Crouch End, where he lived with his wife. He died in mysterious circumstances a few days ago in the grounds of his home. An absolute enigma. At times strict and puritanical towards his wife and others, and other times a drunkard who had the power of evil in him.
Extremely unbalanced and dangerous man.
Quite. He was feared by everyone, known on the gold fields as Mad Nat Savage, and lived up to the name. At Crouch End, he was loathed and avoided by the local people. He lived the life of a recluse. He had a small one-roomed cottage built by the stream in his garden, and no one, not even his wife, was allowed to enter it. It was his hideaway and furnished with the personal effects of all his travels. Curtains were always kept closed. He had no visitors. Savage lived alone there. Yet at the inquest, Bob Leggett, a local farmer, gave one of the few positive bits of evidence we have to go on. He said...
It were about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd been up attending a sick cow and I took a shortcut along the back lane to my home. You can see that hideaway cottage from the lane and there was a light on. I saw shadows across the curtains. Mad Nat weren't alone. There were another man in there with him. I could see the outlines of them very clear. The other fellow were bearded. And they were arguing something terrible. But that were on the Monday. Savage didn't get himself killed until Wednesday, so I suppose it don't mean much. But he did have a visitor with him on Monday night, and that's a fact.
All the same, it might be significant. Don't you agree, Mr. Holmes?
Every detail, however unimportant, is significant. An unknown visitor to a forbidden spot is most interesting. But do continue.
Well, come the Wednesday, Savage went into one of his blackest moods. His wife, Grace, told the court about it in the frankest manner. She said...
I knew those moods. He was a drunken wild beast who roamed the grounds of the house looking for trouble. I locked myself in the upstairs room all day. At night, I came down to get food. I could see the light in his cottage. It was quiet. I thought he was in a drunken sleep. I went to bed and locked the door. At about 2 in the morning, I heard terrible yelling. I did the sensible thing. Pulled the blankets over my head and tried to ignore it all. Early the next morning, I went out. The door to the cottage was open. I went down the path towards the stream, and there, by the wooden bridge, he was lying on his back. I thought he was still drunk till I saw the blood on his chest. I just turned and ran, raised the alarm, called the police, and... Well, that's all I know. I swear to you, that's all I know.
I was called in. I inspected the grounds and the cottage. Never been in such a strange place, filled with trophies, books, maps, and a clutter of bottles. Smelt to high heaven. Flies all over the bed. Horrible.
Yes, it must have been. But you haven't yet told us how this man Savage died.
Well, I'm coming to that. It's baffling. For it seems that there was a bullet wound went right through his chest under the heart, but no bullet. Just a small hole. And no one heard shooting. Police surgeon says he'd never seen anything like it.
Yes, so he was shot by a bow and arrow, Carter. Now you see the reason for my morning exercise in the park, Watson.
Bow and arrow? How could you be sure of this, Holmes?
Well, I can't, until I viewed the body and visited the scene of the crime. But from the nature of the wound, I thought it the only possible explanation.
There was no arrow found.
Yeah, well, there couldn't be if the murderer wished to cover his tracks. Now, may I make a suggestion?
By all means, Mr. Holmes.
Well, then I propose that you do whatever reporting you have to do to Scotland Yard, and we catch the 12:30 train to Burnham-on-Crouch. If I remember, such a train has a dining car. Shall we risk the Eastern Line's luncheon? What do you say, Watson? Can you manage that? Oh, and we'd better take overnight bags, just in case.
As usual, I could not refuse a trip with Sherlock Holmes. And after an hour or so's hasty rearrangement of my affairs, I was at the station in time to join him and Carter on the journey. It was uneventful and quite pleasant. We took a carriage from the station to Crouch End, where we met the widow of the dead man. She was a hard-looking woman, but quite charming, and was soon telling us of the years of hardship and ill usage which she had endured.
My husband created havoc wherever he went, Mr. Holmes. Towards the end, everything he touched seemed to turn evil. I do confess, if I have any feelings left, they're those of relief rather than sorrow. I've said it. I've nothing to add.
But just one question before we ask to see your husband's hideaway cottage. I understand there was a large knife found near the body. Have you identified it as belonging to your husband?
Indeed I have. What he was doing with it out there, I cannot say. Must have intended using it on someone, but he was stopped in time, thank heavens. Perhaps he was killed in self-defense, who knows?
Yes, who knows. But it's our duty to find out. Now, Carter, will you be good enough to lead the way to the cottage? Thank you, Mrs. Savage.
The cottage was, as Carter described, filthy and incredibly neglected. I could tell that from outside. Carter was about to insert the key into the door when he stopped.
Hello. Someone's been tampering with the lock.
Someone's been trying to force this window. Whoever it was failed to gain entry. Yes, we'll open up, Carter. Nothing has been touched, I take it?
Not since I was here last.
Oh, good. I shall take the best part of an hour to examine this place. And I must go over the grounds, particularly to the spot where the body was found before dark. Yes, it'll take longer than I thought. Perhaps you can find an inn nearby where we can rest for an hour or two. I'm afraid we shall have to stay over, Watson. If someone tried to break in here last night, then the odds are that he or she will have another attempt this evening. I think we must be here to receive the intruders, don't you think?
I'm agreeable to any plans you make, Holmes.
Good, then please leave me. I prefer to work on places like this alone. Give me an hour, just 1 hour, that's all. Thank you, Carter.
It took well over the allotted hour to complete his examination of the hideaway cottage and the surrounding grounds. He even ventured into the neighboring fields and appeared well pleased to discover it hadn't rained in those parts for some weeks, and the set of horse and cart tracks that led to a small copse were fresh and clear-cut. We then paid a visit to the local mortuary and inspected the body of Mad Nat Savage. I'm used to seeing death, but it wasn't a pleasant visit, and I found myself agreeing with Holmes regarding the cause of death. By the time we got to the Hare and Hounds Inn, it was quite dark. We had a short rest, and then, fortified by an excellent home-cooked supper, we journeyed back to Crouch End Estates, where Carter was anxiously waiting for us.
Thought you weren't coming back, Mr. Holmes. I'd been here for ages.
Good. Then you must know that no one has yet arrived and tried to enter the cottage.
No.
Well, that's good. Well, we'd better settle down. It may be a long wait.
It was some hour and a half later, as I was nodding off, my back against a large oak tree, that Holmes touched me lightly upon the shoulder. Someone was moving about along the wall of the cottage. There was a silence, a step in the gravel, and some metallic scraping. The lock of the door was forced. It opened. A match was struck. A candle lit. Holmes motioned for Carter and me to follow. The man inside the cottage was young and slender. He commenced a search amongst the books. Having found one, he returned to the light and began paging through it, then sighed and snapped the book closed. Carter stepped forward and took command.
Stay where you are. What? Don't move. Where the police?
What? Oh, I should have known you'd still be watching this place. I suppose you now imagine I'm connected in some way with the death of Nathan Savage. I assure you, I am quite innocent.
Well, that's for us to decide. Let's start with your full name.
Nigel Sykes.
I see. Initials NS. And what, may I ask, are you doing here?
Oh, is this a casual conversation or an interrogation?
It's a police investigation.
Then perhaps I'd better wait until I can have a lawyer present.
If you are innocent, it would be better to speak up without fear of the consequences.
Oh, very well. Did you ever hear of Hewitt and Sykes, the West Country bankers?
No, never.
Yes. They failed for £500,000 years ago, to the ruination of many wealthy families in Devon and Cornwall. Is that right?
True. Sykes was my father.
Ah, interesting. Pray continue.
But keep it short and straight.
Well, I was a boy at the time, but I always believed in my dad. I never believed that he stole the securities like everyone else. He swore he could turn them to good use, and every creditor would be paid in full. He left us a list of the securities he had taken, and swore he would come back once his honor had been cleared. He left by sea for South Africa, and no one ever saw or heard from him again. We believed the securities were lost with him at sea. Then a short while ago, I discovered through a business friend that some of the securities had come onto the London market. I spent months trying to trace them. I discovered the original seller was a Mr. Nathan Savage, the owner of Crouch End. I had to find out what he knew of my father. But before we could meet, he met his death by someone else's hands. I attended the inquest. There was mention of logbooks, diaries here in this hideaway cottage of his.
And you tried to get in here last night. You failed. You've tried again now, and you still haven't found what you wanted. Is that not so?
There is an old diary here. The pages dealing with the time of my father's disappearance have been ripped out. Mad Nat Savage covered his tracks well. That's the truth. I have nothing else to add. I've told you the whole truth. I never even spoke to Nat Savage, and I know nothing of his murder.
Is that so? Then how do you account for this? A tobacco pouch with the initials NS. Not Nat Savage, as we'd first thought, but Nigel Sykes.
Where did you get that from? I thought
You dropped it near the body, Mr. Sykes. I think you'd better not say any more. Take your own advice and wait for a proper lawyer. Not that I think he will be able to get you out of this in a hurry. Well, I think it's been a good night's work. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Thank you, Dr. Watson. Shall you return to London in the morning?
We did not return to London the next morning, for in spite of the lateness of our going to bed, Holmes was up at dawn, and having borrowed a bicycle from the landlord of the Hare and Hounds, seemed to have travelled over a large area of Burnham and Southminster. He joined me for a hearty breakfast.
Oh, Watson, what do you think of things?
Well, you've been up to something, Holmes, I can tell, but you're not at all satisfied with Carter's conclusions, are you?
I'm disappointed in that young man. I'd hoped for better things from him. One of the first rules of criminal investigation is never to accept the obvious as the end result.
You have an alternative to the arrest of Nigel Sykes?
Of course. Here is Carter himself. Now we shall hear the latest news. Well, Carter, have you extracted a confession from young Sykes?
No, not yet. But he will talk sooner or later. He faces a full-scale interrogation at the yard this afternoon.
Then we shall have to conclude the case before that. Neither Watson nor I can afford to be away from Baker Street longer than lunchtime.
What does that mean, Mr. Holmes?
Well, simply that you've got the wrong man, Carter. Just look at certain facts. Young Sykes is simply not the type who would have defied Nat Savage. He cannot have been the man heard to be arguing with Savage in the cottage 2 nights before he was killed. Sykes is clean-shaven. The man we're after has a beard. You may still be after a murderer who uses a gun and kills with a bullet. I'm convinced the man is an expert archer. Now ask yourself, who carries a bow and arrow around with him these days?
Blessed if I know. No one. Well, that's why your theory is so implausible.
No, not at all. The art of archery is to kill swiftly and silently. In other words, to hunt. And hunt without being heard.
It still doesn't make sense to me. Look, Mr. Holmes, if you've got something up your sleeve, then don't hide it. Let's have it straight.
Oh, you can have it straight, as you call it, in exactly 1 hour, Carter. All you have to do is to conceal yourself in the loft of the stables of this inn at 11 o'clock. What you see and hear will surprise you, I have no doubt. Oh, and make sure that there are armed men at your disposal, won't you? We shall all feel very much more secure. Will you excuse me now? I have messages to send off from the post office. The fast stables at the back in 1 hour. And this time, I don't think we shall have to wait all that long before arresting the right man.
Dylan, what does this all mean? It's so dangerous. Why had we got to meet like this? I thought we agreed not to see each other till it was all over.
What do you mean? I got your notes. You asked me to come here. I'd never have taken this risk otherwise.
I didn't send for you. You sent for me.
But this is ridiculous. I've your note here with me.
I sent no note, I tell you.
Then what does... Someone's discovered something. It's a trap. Come on, let's get away from here. Quickly. Quickly now, quickly.
Move if I were you. There are men surrounding the stables and up there in the loft.
What the devil? Get out of my way.
Stop him, Watson. Carter, call your men. Bar the door.
Stay where you are, both of you. There's no way out. I demand to know the reason for this.
We'll give you every reason if you can explain your relationship with Mrs. Savage. Just what is your name, sir?
Find out.
His name is Dylan Drew. He was an old partner of Nat Savage's long ago in South Africa. Before Savage married Grace and came back to this country. Isn't that so, Drew? You are the man who befriended Nigel Sykes' father and made an enemy out of Savage. You are the bearded man who dogged Savage for weeks and then cold-bloodedly murdered him.
No, it wasn't like that. He did it to save me. Dylan killed Nat when he saw he was about to attack me with that hunting knife. He was mad with drink and accused me of betraying him. I'm the one that would have been dead if Dylan hadn't shot him.
Shot him with a bow and arrow, correct?
Well, you seem to have it all worked out, mister. Yes, that's how I killed Mad Nat. I didn't murder him. I killed him. Grace is right. I did it just in time. Someone should have done it years ago. He was evil all the way through. There were the three of us back in the old days. Nat Savage, Tom Sykes, and me. Sykes had securities and was about to make a great deal of money from them out in South Africa. Then he disappeared. I found out later that Mad Nat had stolen all his possessions and had him killed. I got proof of that eventually by tearing pages out of Nat's diary. I kept them. Nat disappeared, then I started the long search after him.
You knew he'd come back to England and buried himself somewhere in the country. Might I suggest that you aspired to the life of a gypsy, travelling by horse and caravan through the southern counties, earning a living as a tinker and poaching game and fowl by the use of a bow and arrow. Old-fashioned, but extremely effective.
You have it all worked out like I say, yes. That's about it. Then I found him here. It was an old score I had to settle. I tried to squeeze money out of him. Threatened to expose him for what he was, a cheat and a murderer. He promised payment, but I knew he wasn't to be trusted. I rested my caravan in a nearby clearing in the woods and watched him night and day. Then he went wild, got drunk and ran berserk. Grace heard him, came down and tried to calm him. He went after her with a knife. As he chased her across the bridge, she stumbled. He was standing in a patch of moonlight as he raised the knife to strike. I took aim. I couldn't miss.
It's exactly as he said. I was about to be killed.
I pushed the arrow right through him. Washed it clean in a stream. Strange. It was over so quickly, and he hardly made a sound. We agreed to leave the body to be discovered later. It gave me good time to get myself and the caravan out of the district. We agreed not to meet for some time until the scandal had all died down, and I reckon we'd have got away with it if it hadn't been for this trick of forcing us together. How did you manage to trace me? Put all this together?
Elementary. You left clear tracks of your horse-drawn caravan. If you were implicated, you would not take the chance of remaining alone for long. You thought you'd find safety in numbers, so you joined up with a camp of genuine gypsies. They're outside Southminster at this very moment. I traced them. I made inquiries about you and left a note that I was sure would bring you back here. I sent a similar message to Mrs. Savage. It was the only way I could effectively get a confession out of you. Yes, I think the rest is up to you, Carter. I'm sure you'll handle it without further help from me. Well, shall we go, Watson? We can catch that lunchtime train as planned.
We did catch the train, and in plenty of time. Once again, I sat back in my seat and pondered over Holmes' extraordinary ability to piece facts together from starting at the right places.
It was the nature of the wound that intrigued me, Watson. Once I was sure it was a bow and arrow that was used, I naturally had to look for the sort of man who could use that weapon. It had to be an old-timer, not a youngster like Nigel Sykes.
Yes, but Holmes, there's still that wretched tobacco pouch.
Sykes will have a bit of explaining to do there. You see, he did go to Crouch End on the night of the murder, and he found the body. His were the screams that people heard in the dead of the night. Unfortunately, he dropped the pouch. If we hadn't traced Dylan Drew, that might have landed him in the dock. As it is, well, one wonders just what he'll do with what's left of his father's securities. Interesting speculation.
listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.
Stand back there! Stand back! He's there! The housemaker lapse any moment. Please get back! Get back!
Another ain't gonna be late, Doctor. No, don't be passing trouble. It ain't right. It can't be an accident.
Yeah, you're right. How we got the police in on this? Who knows whose home is going to go next? Oh, there's a maniac in these parts, I reckon. Someone who delights in causing fire.
Maniac or not, there's got to be a stop to all this. None of us is safe in our beds. The part of investigation, that's what we must do.
Here, lady, up chestnut. What about some old
We present The Stories of Sherlock Holmes.
Tonight,
The Lulworth Cove mystery.
The summer of 1895 was a particularly hot one by English standards. Well over 80 in the shade for weeks on end, or so it seemed. I found it particularly trying, for I was aware that most of my patients were feeling the effects of the heat. Those with serious complaints were enfeebled by long hours of perspiring in bed, and others had their minor troubles aggravated by the bad tempers of their families. I was fairly irritable myself when one day I returned to Baker Street to find Holmes sharing a cool jug of lemonade with a young gentleman I'd not met before.
Ah, Watson, come in, my dear fellow. You must be exhausted. Put your feet up. Have a glass of cold lemonade. Meet young Inspector Gavin.
Oh, how do you do, Inspector?
It's a great pleasure to meet you, Dr. Watson. I've heard so much about you, of course.
Gavin is from Dorset. I knew his father. He was at Scotland Yard, and Gavin's determined to follow in his footsteps.
A long way to go yet, Mr. Holmes. I've only just been made inspector, and trust my luck, I've been landed with an almost impossible task.
Yes, you were just about to tell me about it when Watson arrived. Take the lemonade, Watson. It really is most refreshing.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it is.
Do speak freely in front of Watson. He's been by my side through more cases than I care to remember. Now tell us, what is it that's troubling you?
Well, as you know, I'm attached to headquarters in Dorchester, and we receive reports of all cases that happen along the coast of Dorset. Recently, our attention has been drawn to a series of fires at Lulworth Cove. Actually, it's a fairly small, closed community. There are a string of summer cottages that are shut up during the winter months and open up on holidays and during the summer by their owners or guests who rent them. Well, about a year ago, one of these summer cottages was burned to the ground. No one was able to find a specific cause for the fire. In the end, it was thought that a tramp had broken into the place and somehow caused the blaze.
Is that what the owner thought? Did he claim insurance?
Yes, it was a very modest amount. Algernon Francis was the owner's name. He moved some of the rescued furniture neighbors had managed to get out of the fire into a nearby house and decided to live there until he could rebuild on the previous site. But this fire was only the first of a shocking series. Several more houses along the coastline were altogether or partially destroyed, including Algernon Francis' temporary home.
That's most interesting. Pray continue.
Oh, naturally, the local people were up in arms, and particularly when they thought that they had found a reason for the fires. You know better than I do, Mr. Holmes, that the place to pick up gossip is in the local pub. And the local pub at Lulworth Cove is the Seagull's Nest. A meeting extraordinary was held there, presided over by Mr. William Spaulding, a middle-aged bachelor who lives alone in his family home on the cliffs and, being of independent means, gives most of his time to civic and philanthropic enterprises. He had the full support of the locals.
It must be clear to everyone that all of these fires cannot have been caused by accident.
You're right, yes, very clear.
The incidents are assuming the proportions of a social disaster. Why are these fires occurring? It must be the work of a single person or a select number of people. But there is another reason for setting fire to a house. It can't be insurance, as it applies to too many owners and their insurance companies.
If it's the work of a madman, then it don't need no reason, do it?
Yeah, but there is evidence that certain items of value have not been found after the fire. Articles of value, paintings, furniture, and family silver have not been recovered. Now, supposing the fires were simply a cover-up for important burglaries, how about that?
What can we do about it? We must take prompt measures against any repetition of these dastardly crimes. I suggest a citizens' emergency committee. Guards to be posted at various points. A patrol system in direct touch with the police.
Splendid idea. Spaulding must be the chairman of the committee, of course.
I second that. Let's form the committee straight away.
I don't mind, yes.
So, Spaulding was elected and immediately made application to Dorchester for help. I was sent down and made inquiries. But quite honestly, Mr. Holmes, I'm baffled. Nothing else has happened. By that, I mean that there have been no new fires. But the place has turned into a village of suspicion. Neighbor is turning against neighbor, friend against friend. It's becoming a place of locked doors, drawn curtains, and whispered suspicion.
Yes, I can understand that.
The fact is that I am now known in the district. And wherever I go, people are so cautious that I can get nowhere. I was wondering if you and Dr. Watson wouldn't consider taking a few days off and coming down to Dorset. You could stay at the Seagull's Nest and, well, perhaps pick up a few clues that may help me. I'm anxious to prove myself for this case. Anything you advise will be of great value.
Well, I do admit that the problem is an intriguing one. Naturally, you feel the pyromaniac is a local man.
I beg your pardon?
The pyromaniac. The person who causes fires. The arsonist.
Oh, yes. Must be local. Otherwise, how would he know what was of value in these houses?
Right. Well, Watson, what do you say?
Well, I'd very much like a few days off down by the sea, especially to get out of London in this heat. I shan't have much to attend to over the weekend. Yes, I'm all for it.
That's good. Then our answer is yes. We shall be delighted to stay at the Seagull's Nest if we can get in there.
Oh, I'll see to that. I'll have a word with Adam Geary. He's the landlord. Nice enough old fellow, but crippled with rheumatism and gets about in a wheelchair. His daughter is Anne Geary, who's a tower of strength in the community. And there is a third member of the household in that pub. His name is Pat Boyce, and I'm very much afraid that he's the fly in the ointment, as it were.
Oh, in what way?
Well, I suppose every English country village is supposed to have one. He's a bit simple-like, weak in the head, the village idiot. He can't speak all that well. He never makes much sense. Anne can look after him, and she can get things out of him, but no one else can. Of course, you can imagine that lots of the locals think he is the cause of all the trouble. The pyromaniac, as you call him.
Do you think that, Captain?
No, I don't. But, well, you come down and make up your own mind, Mr. Holmes. Shall I make a definite booking for you?
2 days later, we were down in Lulworth Cove, Dorset. The weather was still hot and the skies cloudless, but the sea breezes were wonderful, and the Gull's Nest a most entrancing old inn. Adam Geary and his daughter Anne made us most welcome, and of course, it wasn't long before the mystery of the outbreak of the fires was discussed.
All is quiet at the moment, of course, but there's many who thinks it's just the lull before the storm.
Oh, no, Dad, that's no way to think about it. Rather say that the precautions that we've been taking have had the desired effect. Mr. Spaulding has done a wonderful job of the organisation. Every citizen who belongs knows exactly where he or she has got to be when they go on duty. I'm sure it's having the desired effect.
But if this man who caused the fires is in some way mentally unbalanced, then surely he must be apprehended, regardless of whether there are more outbreaks or not.
Ah, that's what I said.
Well, that's the work of the police. We're just protecting our own homes. And perhaps it'll stop now.
All damage has still been done. Well, imagine what it'd be like if this pub were to catch fire. Me in this stern wheelchair, unable to get out.
Oh, no, that's enough, Dad. Why must you always look on the black side? Oh, have you had sufficient, Mr. Holmes? Dr. Watson? If so, then I'll be clearing away. Oh, would you like another helping?
Oh, an excellent supper, thank you.
No more for me. Thank you. It was splendid.
My God, darling boy, how many times I told you not to burst into a private parlour like that, eh?
Oh, now, calm down, Patrick. Quiet now. Don't try to speak. Just be quiet. That's it. Now, these are two new guests staying here at the inn. This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. Now, you will smile and touch your cap whenever you see them. You do so now?
Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening.
Oh, get him out of here, Anne. You're embarrassing our guest. Get him out.
Please, not at all. As a medical man, I'm used to dealing with all kinds of people like this. The main thing is that these people are not to be frightened. Now, just ask him to sit down.
Oh, how very pleased I am to hear you say that, Dr. Watson. The people here don't understand, Pat. They think because he's slow that he doesn't understand. But he's brighter than anyone thinks. Now, sit down, Patrick. If there's anything to tell me, you'll do so better if you sit quietly first. Oh, gracious. Now what?
Believe it or not. Adam, Anne, come on, there's another fire. The cottage up on the far side of the cove. The light all over. Come on, everyone. We need every hand on the job.
I can hardly describe the scene near the beach at Lulworth Cove. By the time we reached the burning cottage, half the local population was there. The fire had got a good hold, but a bucket chain was formed, and it was soon brought under control. Men rushed to and fro, helping to salvage furniture and valuables from the rooms. Eventually, the fire brigade moved us all away, and tired and exhausted, our clothes and bodies covered with ash and water, we realized our task was over. Holmes was able to ask a few questions.
Anyone know who raised the alarm, the first to see the flames?
I did. I can see the place clear enough from my cottage across there. First, I thought it was the sunset reflected in the windows. Then I realized it was a fire inside the front room. I came on over to confirm this.
There was no one about?
Didn't see anyone. Then that young simpleton Pat Royce came down from behind the cliff. I sent him to raise the alarm in the main village while I got the neighbors out. We've been working like slaves ever since.
Who does the place belong to?
A friend of mine, Major Higgins. He's away up north at the moment. I'll have to send him a wire first thing in the morning. Oh, it's a sorry mess. No mistake.
I agree. You've done an excellent job of work. What is your name, by the way?
Hall, Alex Hall.
Well, perhaps you'd like to call in at the Seagull's Rest for a pint of beer, Mr. Hall. I'd be very pleased to send you a drink.
And I'd be very pleased to accept one. Give me half an hour to clean myself up and I'll be over.
The bar trade at the Seagull's Nest was extremely busy that evening. So much so that when Inspector Gavin arrived, Holmes suggested that a handful of us retire to the small private parlour, taking our beers with us. It was there that the questioning continued.
I take it that quite a lot of Major Higgins' furniture and valuables have been saved.
Yes, thank goodness.
Poor man. Only been away a couple of days. It was well planned, all right. No one on duty at that time of the afternoon.
Oh, wicked shame. Something's got to be done. You seem to be making no progress at all, Inspector. We're supposing to be here with me in my wheelchair.
We're doing our best, Mr. Geary.
That's right. There's enough of that, Dad. Let's concentrate upon what has happened, not what might happen.
The thing is that I know now that it's definitely a planned fire to cover for a robbery.
How do you know that, Mr. Hall?
Because I know the Major's house. I know that he has a large grandfather clock in his sitting room. Well, I was one of the first to get into the place when the fire started. The clock wasn't there. It had been stolen before the place was set alight.
Well, that's a valuable clue. You're sure of this?
Of course I'm sure. It has the most distinctive chime. A very fine piece of work. And it wasn't there.
That's most interesting. I imagine a grandfather clock is not an easy thing to steal. Ah, Mr. Spaulding, do come in.
I heard you'd all gathered here. I feel it's my duty as chairman of the Citizens Emergency Committee to demand that you question the boy, Pat Royce, Inspector.
Pat? What for?
Well, it's clear that he's involved in some way. He's always around on the scene of these fires before anyone else. The poor lad is soft in the head and probably doesn't know what he's doing. Dr. Watson here's a medical man, and he will bear me out when I say that many deranged people are fascinated by fire. It's a known fact.
Well, I don't know that I can agree with that, Mr.
And I most certainly cannot. I'm surprised at you, William, I really am. Just because Pat's backward and can't answer for himself, you naturally pick on him. It's grossly unfair.
Now, Annie, we must face facts. We really must.
Oh, it's no use, Inspector, trying to get the news out of Pat. You know how frightened he gets. The fire's scared him. He won't be able to talk, even to me, for some time. If there's any questioning to do, I think I should do it. Please don't disturb him tonight.
It's up to you, Inspector, but the folk in these parts have had enough. If they do find the person responsible, then I won't answer for their actions. There could be a lynching. Tempers of that?
There will be nothing of the kind, and I refuse to be pushed into making irresponsible accusations. I shall conduct this investigation in my own way, methodically and as thoroughly as possible. It will mean personal interviews with everyone concerned, alone. I think mass meetings only stir up hysteria. Now, having said that, I should like to start with you, Miss Geary. Will everyone else please return to the bar? I shall call you all in turn. You and Dr. Watson will stay, won't you, Mr. Holmes?
And so the questioning continued in a more reasonable manner. The inspector interviewed some dozen of the local people who lived near the scene of the latest fire. Holmes listened intently, sprawled in a chair by the open window, his head upon his chest and long fingers pressed together. He made no comment and eventually retired for the night in a somber mood. I found it hard to sleep, and when I did, my mind was filled with the sight of flames and the smell of burning timber. Morning dawned crisp and clean, and Anne Geary served us an excellent breakfast.
I've been talking to young Pat, Mr. Holmes. He's in a rare state. Couldn't get much out of him. But he says he saw someone leaving Major Egan's garden just before that fire started, yesterday.
Ah, that's most interesting. Were you able to get an identification from the lad?
Not yet. He goes all to pieces when he tries to explain. Takes ages for him to calm down. But I'll try and have a good long talk to him later. I'll take him to church. He likes church. Has a soothing effect upon him. Oh, he isn't at all a violent boy. I'm sure he didn't start the fire. You don't believe he did? Do you, Mr. Holmes?
No, I'm quite sure that he didn't.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Well, I'll be getting a bit more work. I'll talk to Pat after church, and I'm sure I can get him to give me a description of the man he saw. Would you like another pot of tea?
Holmes and I spent a pleasant morning walking along the seashore. As we returned, we passed the church and noticed Anne Geary talking to a group of her friends. Pat Boyce, neatly dressed, stood respectfully to one side. Later, they walked off in opposite directions. Anne wasn't present at lunch. And it was late afternoon, while we were smoking our pipes in the back garden of the inn, before we saw Pat Boyce again. He suddenly appeared in the most terrible state of excitement, crying and stuttering and throwing his arms about. Oh, gracious, what is it? What's happened, Pat? Now, calm down, my boy.
He's trying to tell us something. Pointing over there across the field. Watson, there's something seriously wrong. This boy's in a dreadful state. Let him take us over there. Convince him that we will follow him.
I did my best. Pat seemed to understand and ran ahead, pausing and pointing and waving while we hurried after him. Some half-mile across the fields, he stopped and pointed to a disused shed. He refused to go near. When Holmes and I entered...
There's nothing in here. This hut isn't used for anything. Wait. Look, Watson, look there, on those sacks.
It's Anne Geary. Oh, great heavens, Holmes. Blood. Her head, she's been most brutally murdered. News spread over the district at lightning speed. The whole of Lulworth Cove was in a state of panic, and people streamed towards the police station. Inspector Gavin called for more men from Dorchester and Weymouth. There was a general clamour for the arrest of Pat Boyce, but Holmes would have none of it.
It's clear to me, Gavin, that Anne was murdered by the arsonist. Now, young Pat is not responsible for those fires. To start with, he hasn't the natural guile or intelligence to work out when to start the fires and be unobserved. Added to that, there is proof that they were intended to disguise a burglary. Pat Boyce could never steal valuable property and hope to dispose of it. No. The answer does not lie with him.
Then who is responsible, Holmes? And why was Anne Geary killed?
She was killed because she got part of the truth out of young Pat. And the arsonist became aware that she knew too much. Yes, I think it's time we had another talk to the man Alex Hall, Gavin. Perhaps you can arrange for him to visit Mr. Spaulding's home and talk there. Shall we say it just before 8 this evening? Can you organise that, Gavin?
Inspector Gavin was able to organise the meeting. I think we were all surprised, including William Spaulding. But he made us very welcome.
Well, gentlemen, this is a great pleasure.
You knew her well, didn't you, Mr. Holmes?
Not as well as I should have liked. She was in love with someone else. She told me so. I don't know who it was.
Perhaps you can tell us, Mr. Spaulding.
Me? Why, no, of course not. I liked the woman, but there was no...
Wait a moment. Listen.
Clock striking. But I know that sound. The chimes, they're like the clock that belongs to Major Higgins. Where is it coming from?
From above. A grandfather clock in an attic? Odd, don't you think? Care to show us the rest of your house, Mr. Spaulding? Every room, please.
No, look here. You've no right.
Upstairs in an attic, they found many objects of value. Silver, fine old china, and pieces of period furniture, amongst which was the grandfather clock. Spaulding admitted to the thefts and to the crime of arson, but denied killing Anne Geary. But Holmes said...
He will break down under cross-examination. He's clearly mentally disturbed. I suspected him the moment he took over the chairmanship of that committee. He was able then to know the exact movements of the fire guards. He was also clearly on intimate terms with Anne Geary. She was the only one who called him William, and he called her Annie. I think there'll be no more troubles in Lulworth Cove after this, thank goodness.
Thanks to you, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, no, I don't want my name mentioned at all. This is your first successful case, isn't it? Congratulations.
Listen again next Sunday to The Stories of Sherlock Holmes, with Graham Armitage as Holmes and Kerry Jordan as Dr. Watson.